You know, John, recently in the video game industry, I feel like it's been feast or famine. It's been either everything is out or nothing is out, and this is one of those nothing is out weeks. Or maybe it's just 1 week after Avengers Endgame.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much all the developers went, when's Endgame coming out? Okay, let's release our game the week before it, or let's push it back a couple of weeks after, because everyone's going to be watching Endgame. That thing's like 1,000,000 hours long.
Yep.
No one's going to have time to do anything else.
Yep. You're going to be out there. I mean, either that or you're going to be off the internet entirely. You'd be dodging spoilers because, you know, you got Game of Thrones spoilers. You got Avengers Endgame spoilers. You know, you got Mortal Kombat 11 spoilers. Apparently. But I'll tell you where you don't have spoilers. That's the Rage Select podcast right here on Rage Select. And I am Jeff.
I'm John, and I don't think that's actually true.
What?
Sometimes
Spoilers?
we've accidentally spoiled things.
That's true, but never maliciously, never on purpose, and we try at least, right?
Okay.
Because I don't know, I've been a little. I mean, this is no surprise to anybody, but like, I don't know why you can't wait for like 24 hours after Game of Thrones is over to just immediately. It's like 4 minutes after Game of Thrones is over.
I've seen a lot of people online going, "You motherfuckers kept your mouth shut for Endgame, and you can't keep your mouth shut for Game of Thrones. Go fuck yourself."
And I'm not saying that you should have to wait forever for Game of Thrones. I don't think you should have to wait forever for Avengers Endgame, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that, you know, the feeling that you got when you got to see the stuff happen in Game of Thrones for the first time and you weren't spoiled by it, wouldn't you like other people to be able to do that same thing and not just there are two people in particular on my Twitter timeline that have become like the spoilers. Like they are just whoo man.
Yeah, there's a lot of people surprisingly that will be like, I'm not going to spoil it, but I want other people to know that I saw it, so I'm going to say a random out-of-context quote or post a picture of me posing in a very specific way,
right,
that no one who hasn't seen the movie will know what I'm talking about.
Hail Hydra, John.
Yeah, and it's like, motherfucker, I read comics. I know exactly what you're referencing. God damn it. I didn't know Hydra was in that goddamn movie before I saw it.
Or I'm not an idiot. Like,
yeah.
I can make some inferences. Like, if Game of Thrones is over and you all just start talking about one particular character out of Game of Thrones and either praising them or being sad about them or being mad about them, like, I can make an inference that there's probably going to be something big that happens. Anyway, everybody knows. I'm just going to say, I want to remind everybody, I want to keep saying this. You can't take back a spoiler, right? If you inadvertently give somebody information about a thing and you can't take that information. Also, remember that if you hit the like button on Twitter, everybody who like follows you on Twitter gets to see what you liked. Like, that comes up in their feed. Anyway, I'm sorry. I have some Twitter issues right now. Anyway,
I can tell.
With all that out of the way, let's talk about Avengers Endgame a little bit.
Okay, no spoilers.
We're gonna do a whole spoiler cast after we get done with this.
Yeah, so it'll be a separate thing that gets all the spoilers and details and,
Yep.
and all the nitty-gritty minutia.
I think it's just gonna be an hour of you and I going hee 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 hee. But like, what I haven't seen a lot of is let us do a just like way zoomed out like let's talk about Avengers Endgame and not talk about Avengers Endgame in any specific detail, but just talk about
I'm going to say this.
Okay.
This is a mess of a movie.
Uh-huh.
But in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like anybody, you could have gotten any director, any writer, whatever, for this specific movie.
Right.
I think any variation of this movie that could or exist or has existed at some point during the editing or filming process,
right,
or to writing, was ever not a mess, because it has to do so much.
It has to do so much that no movie has had to ever do before.
And so it's a mess. Yes, there are plot holes. Yes, they break their own logic, their own rules a few times.
Implications for what's going to happen down the road that could be messed up. Yeah.
There's all sorts of things that some stuff that people do. Like, there's one thing, I'm not even going to say what it is, but there was a lady sitting off to the side of Amanda that when it popped up on screen, she's like, ugh. ugh, like the entire time. Like every time, and it was something that popped up multiple times. And every second it popped up, just like, like very loudly in the theater, like just upset by it. And it was just like, it's a movie, guys.
Well, okay, but you know what? It's
But
funny.
I liked it. But I don't want to say I liked it. I had fun. And here's the thing: it was 3 hours long.
Yeah,
it felt like 3 hours long. I actually was like, "Holy shit! 3 hours have passed. God damn."
So it's interesting because when I was watching it, what I couldn't help thinking about was how it didn't resemble the structure of a movie.
No,
it resembled the structure of one of those Avengers crossover comic event things. It resembles something like Secret Invasion or Avengers Forever or like one of those big, huge crossover
Marvel event crossover books,
right?
That has a bunch of tertiary books that tell you all the stuff that it didn't touch on,
right? And in a lot of ways, like those books, I feel like this may be the one and only time. Like I can make an argument for Infinity War. I don't think that you can really watch Endgame unless you've watched most of the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you could, but you're not going to be getting like a tenth of what's in that movie without having the prior knowledge. Now, what that means, of course, is that it's less accessible to anybody who hasn't watched those movies. But if you have, it's like one of the most ultimate. I mean, the only thing
it's a lot of fan service.
It's so much fan service. Michael made the observation that it's like the finale of a TV show that's been going on for 10 years.
Yeah,
it's like the only comparison that I have is either like a series finale for a TV show, a well-loved TV show that really nails the finale. No, not one of the garbage ones, but really like nails what happens in the finale, or like a comic book, right? That is ending the run of this comic, right?
Yeah.
And there's going to be more comic books down the line, but like you're like, oh, this was my favorite comic and I've been reading it for 10 years and here's the last double-sized.
It's the Marvel event comic that ends the current status quo and sets up the new one.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I came out of the theater really enjoying it. I'm
100% with you that, like, yes, there are problems if you want to sit down and think about it, if you really want to, like, get into it, and we will get into it in the other podcast, but, like, it was just so enjoyable. I was just grinning. And by the time I got to the end, I was just like, hooray!
Yeah, like I said, and that was the other thing. It's like, everyone was like, oh, it's a 3-hour movie. Oh, man, it's a 3-hour movie. Oh, man, it's a 3-hour movie.
Right.
And it's like, I honestly didn't feel it.
Well,
like
it's
like,
also not the first 3-hour movie that's ever existed.
Oh,
right?
no, I
the
agree,
Lord of the Rings movies were like 3 hours, right?
Weren't those like 10 hours apiece? The ultimate editions?
I think there were 3 hours in the theater and then like 4 hours on Blu-ray or something like that.
The extended editions are all like 12 hours apiece.
Yeah, and 100 hours of behind the scenes.
Some people are still watching those movies to this day.
I had a friend that would just watch like every DVD of Lord of the Rings, like just kind of like the movies and then all the special features and then all the other special features and then the next movie and then all.
I used to do that.
And
not with just Lord of the Rings, but with movies in general. Like if I put a movie in, I have to watch every extra feature, even if I've already seen it before.
Oh, yeah?
Like there was a long time that I did that a lot.
So, Zemi, you've already pre-ordered your copy of the Sonic the Hedgehog extended edition Blu-ray with an additional 30 minutes of Sonic footage?
Maybe.
I think if anybody would have, it would be you. We're going to close the book on Avengers for right now. Go listen to the spoiler cast if you want more, but we also got the trailer for Sonic. I talked about it quite a bit with Amanda. I wanted to get your impressions, John. Your impressions.
I'm going to take you through. I posted this on Twitter.
Okay.
And I want to take you through my thought process as I'm experiencing
the 5 stages of grief.
Well, so the entire thing is I'm looking at this trailer and I'm like, James Marsden looks like he's confused on why he's in this movie.
Sure.
The entire time.
He kind of looks confused in every movie, though, right?
Not really, but he definitely feels like he's like, why am I here?
Right.
There's a female actress who's clearly a main character who's barely in the trailer at all.
Mm-hmm.
Sonic is apparently an alien because of the line. The implication is, I guess I'm going to have to save your planet.
Right.
Jim Carrey is playing an evil Ace Ventura, but at least he looks like he's having fun, which is actually something I'm really happy about because I can't remember the last time I've seen Jim Carrey look like he's having fun while making a movie. Like I can't just... Like I feel like the last time was probably The Grinch,
I've like so stopped following what Jim Carrey is doing that I can't even,
because he went into this whole like serious movie kick for a while,
right?
Where he was just doing serious roles and not really comedies and things like that, which is fine. And then the whole thing was set to the backdrop of Gangster's Paradise.
Yep. Oh, Me, Myself, and Irene came out the same year as Grinch, which so let's see, Bruce Almighty, Eternal Sunshine. That was kind of, I feel like, where he got. Well, I guess he was Count Olaf and Lemony Snicket.
Yeah.
And then Fun with Dick and Jane, which I never watched. Yes Man, which I never watched. Horton Hears a Who, which I never watched. Christmas Carol in 2009. Mr. Popper's Penguins.
Yeah.
He was in Kick-Ass 2.
Oh, okay.
He was in Dumb and Dumber 2 in 2014.
Oh, yeah, wasn't he?
And then he was in that weird Showtime show about like...
No, that I actually heard was really good.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. But anyways,
Anyway.
my point is like... But then I sat there and thought about it.
Uh-huh.
And the weirdest thing about this trailer... That's
why those people don't call the police?
Is the fact that Sonic himself is the least weird thing about that trailer.
I kind of see where you're coming from there.
Like, I was really expecting to be like horrified or like just like what the fuck about Sonic the character. Like, I was like, well, I already know the character design's kind of not great,
right?
But you know what? Once I saw it in motion, I'm like, actually, it's not as bad. I mean, it's not great. It could be better. And there have been people who posted like Photoshop manipulations that
made the head bigger,
make the head bigger, the legs longer, and the hands bigger, even though they're not gloves, but they're still like the hands. Which you never know. Sonic could actually have white fur hands underneath those gloves that he wears in the video games.
Sure,
who knows? But anyways, but people have done made minor changes that actually do improve the look and actually make it look better.
Yeah.
And it was just like. I was in motion. It's like, oh, it's not as bad. And then I'm like, well, they're clearly gonna fuck up his voice. He's probably gonna sound like Danny DeVito or Gilbert Gottfried or something. No. Actually, the person they got is actually perfect, good for so. I'm like, and he goes fast. And even says, I gotta go fast.
Right.
Like what more do you want out of a Sonic movie?
See, all I can hear now is Gilbert Gottfried say, I gotta go fast, like in my head. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've made my...
But having said all of that, what I'm trying to say with all of this...
Yes.
I really want to see this movie.
Apparently, I think
I actually do want to see this movie.
You're the one. You're the person that they were making this movie for.
Because I'm puzzled by everything.
Yeah.
I'm just the whole thing. I'm just so puzzled by it.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it kind of looks like it could be stupid fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like just one of those movies. It's not meant to be good, but if you just enjoy it for what it is, it can generate maybe a laugh.
Yeah.
And you come out going, that wasn't as bad as it could have been.
So you're saying if you zero out your expectations, which look,
I do a lot.
Look. No, here's the thing. I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm really not trying to be mean.
Yeah.
But like, I don't understand why Sonic fans could have any expectations at this point, considering the number of times y'all as a fan group have gotten burned by like games and other stuff. Like, it seems that Sonic, you should be ready for Sonic. You should know that when you roll the dice like 4 out of 5 times, it's going to come down bad, right?
I'm at the point, and I'm not one of those hardcore Sonic fans. Like, I enjoy the games.
Right.
Like, I don't hate them, but I don't really like obsess with them, and they're not like my games.
Sure.
But I've played them all, and they're fun, and I've beaten a few of them.
Yeah.
But I'm more just like, this movie exists. like I want to give it a chance just because it exists.
I think the biggest shame of the Sonic movie is the fact that we've seen the trailer for Detective Pikachu, which just makes this look like
the two biggest comments I've seen is thank you Sonic the Hedgehog for showing me how good Detective Pikachu looks.
Yeah.
How good we have it with Detective Pikachu, and the other one is, well, this is our punishment for Endgame being as good as it is. We have to balance the world. Life has to balance the scales.
What? Life has to balance the scales.
This is the repercussions of having a Endgame that actually succeeds and is good.
You guys aren't looking around the world to see the scales have been motherfucking balanced, motherfuckers. Like the scales are even. We don't need more misery. Which is good because there was one source of misery in my life last week, and we talked about it a lot on the podcast. Mortal Kombat 11 came out, and the story was great, and the game played well, and the towers were garbage, and they were way too hard. And so they did that tuning in the background, and then they had a patch that came out. It was on Monday morning.
Yes.
I know because I was checking every single day, and the towers are fixed.
Yes.
They are super fun. They're like, I played some Injustice 2 over the weekend just to make sure I wasn't crazy and that like I wasn't comparing apples and oranges. And like they are now way more like Injustice 2's towers where, you know, there'll be a kind of rising difficulty until you get up to the boss of the tower, right? And you may have to spend some consumables, but like you get plenty of consumables to be able to spend, like opening stuff in the crypt. I mean, I played it obsessively over the last couple of days because it's like you just knock out some towers. By the time you've knocked out 3 or 4 towers, you got all this cash, and you go to the crypt.
Anywhere between 1 and 200 credits, combat crypt coins or whatever you call them.
Oh, I was getting like
one or 200,000. Like
yeah, okay.
Sorry.
I was about to say, yeah.
Sorry, that one anywhere between 1 and 200,000, and that depends on which towers you're doing. If you're doing the towers that are only like 1 or 2 towers a piece, then yeah, you're probably going to get closer to only 100,000. But if you're doing the ones that are like 5 and 6 towers a piece, then you're going to get a lot more.
Oh, and then I found one that was like there's that place where you could summon a tower, and I finally got one of those tokens that was for like a currency tower that was only there for an hour, and when you got up to the top it gave you something like 450,000 coins.
Wow.
And then you could replay it for like 75 every time you went up it or something like that.
Wow.
So I just did that until it went away, and then I was like, wee, and then you know, I went into the crypt and I just unlocked I just had a big unlock bonanza and unlocked all the shit that I could find, and I was like, hooray. So
yeah, I started doing one of the character towers. I got really annoyed because the character tower prerequisites are kind of dumb.
I am currently on level 2 Katana Tower, and I have 27 out of 75 brutalities to unlock the last thing, where it's like you have to do 75 brutalities, which are not always the easiest thing to do because they have specific prerequisites.
I was doing Liu Kang's, and I have to do 50 uppercuts. Liu Kang's uppercuts are garbage.
They are garbage. They are totally garbage. But anyway, but what I wanted to say is that I'm super happy because to me, that was the only thing that was wrong with Mortal Kombat 11. Like, there's some of the other stuff. I didn't really care as much about the cosmetics, you know, the thing that people, the skimpy outfits. I don't care about that all that much. I don't really care about Jax's storyline, whatever. I don't care about that. What I cared about was are the towers fun? And the towers are now fun.
Yes, they are.
So this is my own little personal crusade, and I'm pretty sure that nobody that listens to Rage Select is one of these people. However, if you have left a scathingly negative review on Metacritic or Steam because the towers were too hard, you should go delete that, right? Because they're not hard. And like last week, there was this narrative that the towers were hard on purpose to make people buy time crystals, but like time crystals wouldn't let you make the towers easier. You just use those to buy the skins that were in the store, or like fatality tokens, right?
You couldn't buy skip tokens.
Couldn't buy augments even for the towers, right?
Yeah.
You couldn't even buy coins to unlock crypt stuff in there. So to me, it's weird that became a narrative because first off, it was changed within a week. Second, the day after the game came out, NetherRealm came out and said, "This is fucked up. We are trying to fix it. Sorry." You know, they also gave everybody, what was it, 500,000 coins?
500,000 coins.
500 hearts.
Like 500 hearts, 100,000 souls.
It was way less than that. The
10,000?
The green ones, I think it was 5.
I thought it was 100,000.
I don't believe so.
Because it was like I said, it was 500,000 coins. Then I want to say it was like 100,000 souls, and then
it was not 100. I had a bridge that I needed to unlock with 3,000, and I was
maybe
still
it was 5,000.
Still working for that. So, but in any case, I think it's great now. Like, I think that this is exactly on par with like Injustice 2. Like, the thing that was holding it back was the towers, and now towers, and even that what you're talking about with like having to do uppercuts with Liu Kang, like having to do fatalities. Like, if the first tower unlock for me with Katana was like you had to do 50 fatalities, and so I just went to the other towers and started doing fatalities every round, and here's another fatality, and here's another fatality, just like working for it.
Brutalities are hard though.
Brutalities are a little hard, mostly because one of the ones that I use most with Katana is also requires you to have a mercy in order to start it.
And mercies are very finicky.
They're finicky. I can get it like 75% of the time, but then every so often it's just like, I don't understand what's going wrong, but apparently I can't do a mercy.
Yeah.
So. But good news, I can wholeheartedly recommend Mortal Kombat 11 to anybody now. So, huzzah. What I can't wholeheartedly recommend to everybody, but may be able to eventually, is Borderlands 3. In spite of the fact that Borderlands 3 had a big old press conference.
Yeah, they had it wasn't really a press conference. It was like a live stream gameplay demonstration.
Yeah.
First gameplay footage of Borderlands 3.
Yes. So this went on for an hour. I think both of us watched this.
Yes, I did watch it.
Some of the highlights seem to be that lots of guns are going to have an alt fire.
Yes.
Now that's
guns now all have an alt fire.
Do they all have an alt fire?
Yes, they said that all guns now have, because that's how they're competing with each other. The type of alt fire is different between each company, though.
Okay. So that's a big change. Like, they started off in here by showing a pistol that's just a pistol, but then you can also alt fire rockets with it.
Yeah.
Let's see. The first part of this was very kind of Borderlandsy. Now you were pointing out that slide is a new thing in the Borderlands,
yes.
like run and then duck to
also,
slide.
same with what is it called, where you jump and like
ground pound,
the ground, grab the ledge.
Oh, mantling. Yeah,
like sliding and mantling are brand new
because they made such a big deal of it, and I was like, "What? Every game does that."
Yeah,
I mean,
no, it's funny because even Amanda who was watching it with me, she was like, "So they made a modern game." Like, and they're why is everyone's like, because they weren't in the previous games. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks like the customization is a little bit.
Yeah, you can
more
customize the head, you can customize
like
the body, you can customize the color. There's an emote system now. They make a character do the chicken dance.
Yeah. So, and then let's see. Character powers are now, there are 3 different character powers that each character has. So each one of the trees has like a separate top level power. Yeah. Like, they showed the Siren has like, what was it? Like the old school Siren, like grab and immobilize. And then there was like was like a ground pound.
Yeah,
almost.
It was like a ground pound,
like an area of effect one, and then there's like a fireball kind of shooting forward one. And for those, you can slot any one of those in, and then you can like kind of augment each one of those. But then apparently some characters, like the soldier Zane, was that his name?
Yeah, I think so.
Could have 2 of those at the same time.
His special ability is that he can have 2 of those character powers at the same time. So,
and his was a drone and like a hollow Duke that would kill people, and then like a shield deploy thing.
Yeah, which they pointed out that his 3 abilities were based off of different characters from previous games.
Right. Because, I mean, it's like the blood wing, and then the soldier had the little shield.
And then Zero had a...
Oh, decoy?
Decoy.
Okay.
But this time the decoy can actually do... But they're changed just enough that...
The decoy could fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, we'll get into some of the other stuff later, but like they showed... It seems like it's kind of got the same style of writing as Borderlands.
Yeah.
Like the whole point at the beginning where Claptrap is... My upper level of claptrappedness is kind of low, so Claptrap is kind of charming for a few minutes for me, but then I need some time like to de-claptrap. But it seems like they showed assaulting the space. There's a new like elemental type.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can like melee.
There's now radiation in the game.
Yeah.
Where you can do things with radiation. You can also melee items to throw them at people.
Like melee a barrel and it'll go in the direction of the person. They showed that a few times.
And I said this to you before we started playing. It's like it really felt like they went, hey, we just released that remaster of Bulletstorm. Why don't we just take a lot of things from that, like the slide and the mantling and the throwing things to do really cool kills. Let's just copy that and hope no one notices.
Well, yeah, because it was a little strange in this where they started this up, and as we just said, it was like they were like, you can slide now, and it was just like,
and people cheered, and it was just like, okay.
I don't know, dude. When I was watching this, I kind of got the impression that the people in the audience weren't cheering as much as they wanted them to.
They were cheering at certain things, but weren't cheering at the things that they were really hoping they would cheer for, which I thought was hilarious.
Right.
Because there were it's like people would cheer at small things.
Yeah.
And then they would do things and then they'd give a beat and like, huh?
Yeah.
And then it'd just be silence. And they'd be like, all right, moving on.
Yeah. It really wasn't the world's best gameplay presentation. I mean, it wasn't horrible or anything, but Randy Pitchford's just kind of a dingleberry.
Yeah. Another thing Amanda pointed out, at one point they brought out all the people on stage that had worked on the game that had been there since Borderlands 1, and half of them were smiling, the other half looked uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Some of those smiles didn't look like they looked like people who were smiling, forcing themselves to smile in fear. So it was just, I don't know. It was just weird.
Yeah. We can skip ahead a little bit and say that at a certain point
also, they really love the term loot shooter.
Oh, looter shooter?
Looter shooter.
Yeah.
And they would it's like, we get it. Yeah. No, you're not the only, but sure, you coined the term, but yeah, okay.
You coined the term, but every time anybody uses that term, I'm like, ugh, gross. Say something else. Call it something else. Diablo, but first person. So later on, they actually showed something that I thought was really interesting, where apparently there's going to be an option when you're playing online with multiple people to have an instanced, what do they call it? Instanced loot, right? So it's everybody gets different loot. Like when you open up a chest,
everyone gets the same loot, but it's
tuned to
tuned to your level,
right?
And if I take an item, you can still get that same item, but tuned to your level.
Right.
Because in the previous Borderlands games, it's whatever loot shows up, that's it. So if two guns show up, if some person takes both guns, no one else gets those guns.
Right. Which, that sucks.
Yeah.
And I like this as a concept, because one of the worst things about playing online is, they even say it in the presentation, having some fucking loot ninja running around just hoovering up all the gear before you can get any of it. And then also they talked a little bit about how when you have that, you'll be able to kind of bring players down to your level, tunes it.
So when let's say you're level 5 and you have a friend who plays at level 25, or they've been playing the game longer than you and they're at level 25 and they want to play with you, you can bring them in. And they'll still be level 25. All of the loot that they collect will still be level 25.
Yeah.
And all the loot that you collect will still be level 5. And the damage that's dealt to them is still scaled at a level 25 level. The damage they deal and the enemies that they're shooting is scaled or whatever appropriately.
The basic way is it makes it so that everybody's playing a similarly difficult game. There isn't somebody who is, if you're 8 levels above me, that the game isn't either ridiculously hard for me or ridiculously easy for you. It's everybody's trying to play a game of a similar difficulty. Now apparently you can turn all that off. You can do classic mode.
There is a classic online mode, which basically makes it just like classic Borderlands, where I don't know about the scaling, but at least the loot, it's every loot for every man for himself as far as the loot's concerned.
Right.
Or maybe it does do the same way with the scaling. It turns the scaling thing off. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't think they went into specifically that, and I only watched this right before we started. So they have a little boss fight. I don't think there was anything super of note in here, but
other than we find out that this is before that. Sorry, the boss fight's before that.
No, it's after this. Actually, this is where, we find out the Teodori or whatever, those guns, the ones that in Borderlands 2 and Borderlands, the pre-sequel, it's like you would throw them away.
Yeah, and usually they would explode.
Right, but now they do all kinds of other crazy shit.
Yeah.
Like they turn into a Merv, or they sprout little legs and then
run around and start shooting.
Shooting people.
Or they turn into a bouncing ball of explodey death.
Yep. Which is all cool. Like all the gun stuff looks like they're still.
You're gonna have a lot of guns and a lot of stylization with your guns.
Mm-hmm. But after this boss fight, so they have a boss fight. Once they get done with the boss fight, we see what I think is probably the biggest change here, which is that you've got a Mass Effect ship. You're going to be leaving Pandora and going to different planets.
Yes.
Which that is a big change, right?
Yeah,
Borderlands 1.
Also, the villains, the Calypso twins, are apparently, streamers. Evil streamers.
I don't. Okay, like look, guys, and John and everybody in the world, and sometimes Borderlands tries a little too hard for my taste. Sometimes it gets a little too just like, yeah, look how edgy we are. And I'm
also, it was a little weird when he was like, they're streamers. Like on stage, Randy Pitchford's like, they're streamers. You know the kind everyone hates. Those streamers that people just are obnoxious and people don't like. Streamers. Like he kept repeating it, and it was just like, and that was one of the moments where everyone in the crowd got quiet because all the people in that crowd are streamers and YouTube video people and are like, are you trying to get us to cheer for you mocking us?
Yeah. Apparently they're trying to find all the vaults and get all the power from all the vaults to make themselves more powerful.
Yeah, the sister apparently has an ability to absorb power from things, and they want to find the vaults, release whatever creature is inside of it, and she wants to absorb the power to become more powerful.
Yeah, so that's why you have to go. You're going to try to find vaults on different worlds to keep this from happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got the Sanctuary 3. That's your new ship.
Also, I appreciated that Randy Pitchford also made a joke that everyone just steamrolled over, and he seemed really annoyed by it.
Yeah.
Which was here's the Sanctuary 3. Don't ask what happened to the Sanctuary 2.
Right.
And then made that look of and then they just moved on. And he had a brief moment of fuck you guys.
I'm a little upset that so much of the inside of the Sanctuary 3 looks like a dirty Borderlands town.
Yeah, it just looks like a Borderlands shanty.
Yeah. And then what the arms. Okay, so you have a personal quarters, and you can put up weapons on the walls and
customize it a little bit according to them. How you can customize it, they didn't really go into, but they said you can customize it.
Yeah, and then basically it's just the hub, right? It's like the town in 2 or the town in the pre-sequel where
the town in 2 was Sanctuary.
Oh, okay. Well, 2 Moxie's there, the gun guy's there. The big lady, who's that?
That's Moxie's daughter.
Oh.
I can't remember what her name is.
She's
Tilly?
there. I don't know. Marcus, the guy behind the door that tells you the upgrades. Everybody, basically, it's just a town. It's it's just a town on a spaceship. They didn't really show anything, in my opinion. No, actually, that's not true. They showed some kind of social interactions, but it seemed mostly flavor stuff as you're just walking around. You know what it reminded me of is the submarine in Wolfenstein 2, where you just kind of walk around and you're going to see little stories and vignettes. Hammerlock is there, and he's going to give you trophy bounties to go hunt down.
And what's her name? The scientist lady that's crazy.
Oh yeah, I don't really know her. I don't remember her.
She's from the first game, and she's also in the second game as well. But
yeah. So, I mean, that's cool. You're going to need a hub world. And also there's stuff to do in here, in Moxie's, there's slot machines and, there's people to talk to, and you put guns on the walls, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of stuff that you could do here. Ellie. That was the name of the
knew it was ended in a Y.
I do kind of like the part where Claptrap's making himself a girlfriend.
And then he locks the door.
And he just looks at you and he's like, what? And then, he just locks the door on you. So from there, we actually see a little bit of what another planet looks like. This is a much more kind of cleaner robot. Well, and it's one of the gun manufacturers.
Yeah, there's like a hostile takeover from another company,
right,
being attempted, and
it's literally like
in
war.
This universe, a hostile takeover from one corporation to another is literally a hostile takeover.
Yeah. And so we get to see basically the whole thing ends with two people just kind of playing it as if it was a stream that you were watching.
Yeah.
And I mean, okay, so there's a lot here that I like more than just the original announcement of Borderlands 3. Like, I like the idea of going to different worlds. I mean, we got a kind of a sneak peek of that in the trailers, but like, I like the idea of not having everything on Pandora because, quite frankly, I'm sick of looking at Pandora, like the kind of Mad Max Fury Road meets Fallout, but goofy. Like, I'm kind of tired of that. So I like the idea of getting to see different worlds in the Borderlands universe. I like all the gun stuff looks great. Like, all the guns look interesting and weird, and like they do different crazy things. I definitely like the level of customization that you're going to get with your individual characters.
Yeah, because I mean, they even said that like you can play the game with another player who's playing the same character,
right?
And you will have you could potentially have two drastically different characters,
right? If they're spec'd for different powers,
and also look different as well based on what skins and stuff you get.
So, I mean, all that bodes well in my opinion. Like, it seems like it's on the right track. Like, it seems like Borderlands, but more Borderlands and
slightly updated to modern day mechanics.
The graphics look similar. I still maintain that the whole idea of the heavy cell shading kind of makes all the Borderlands games look kind of the same. It seems like they might have toned that down a little bit in this one. Like, the lines don't seem as heavy or as dark. In some ways, I don't know, John, what would you think about if they just ditched that cell shading altogether? Because I don't think their models need it. I don't think they need to like be covering up the model detail.
I mean, one of the things with the cell shading is that everything feels brighter.
Okay.
And I kind of feel like that works for their aesthetic that they're going for. So I mean, I feel like if you remove that, everything would just look drab.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, I like what I'm seeing here more. I'm more excited now than I was after that first trailer, because the first trailer just was, an action montage and actually seeing some of the different guns and seeing some of the different
My
characters.
big thing is now I'm like, okay, I don't want to see any more of this game. I just want it out.
Right.
Like, that's like I've seen all that I want to see of trailer before this game actually comes out. Like,
well, your wish is not granted, John.
I know.
Because they said they're going to basically be just like streaming it, showing it off all year until September when it eventually comes out.
Yeah.
Last but not least, Randy Pitchford came out and said there'll be no microtransactions, and there's going to be single-player DLC, and there's going to be some cosmetic stuff, but no microtransactions.
I don't think he knows what microtransactions are.
Yeah, so this segues into a weird thing. So apparently, Game Informer wrote a story, and the story was titled, or the tweet that promoted the story was titled, "Despite Gearbox CEO's Randy Pitchford's comment about no microtransactions in the Borderlands 3 during today's live stream, we've been told that cosmetic items are purchasable." So, okay. Randy Pitchford meant there aren't pay-to-win elements. There aren't
no
loot boxes. That there will be cosmetics. There will be straight-up story DLC to purchase. But when he said that there are no microtransactions, what he meant was that there are not pay-to-win elements. There's no loot box elements. That isn't in there. Unfortunately, that's not what the word microtransactions means.
Yeah.
The word microtransactions means small things you could purchase, like skins. So this happened on Twitter, and then Randy Pitchford threw a fit, basically.
Of course he did. It's Randy Pitchford.
He came back at him and said, "Come on, guys, shitty clickbait headline." Literally seconds before I said that, I made it very clear that we're going to do more cosmetic stuff like we did in Borderlands 2. I was talking about premium currency and loot boxes kind of stuff not being in our game. And this went back and forth and up and down and left and right until he wrote this 14 tweet thing. Actually it's 18 of just, and his whole thing is, oh, the games press always tries to make me out to be the bad guy, and here's another smear job from Game Informer, and like, I like your magazine, and I really wish that you guys would get your facts straight before you talk about me. And it's like, you stood on, because I watched it, you stood on the stage, you said the words, no microtransactions. I'm sorry.
You also kind of sped through there'll be story DLC and some cosmetics, but no microtransact. Like he rushed. Like it wasn't like he said, "All right, guys, there will be story DLC,
right.
and there will be cosmetic stuff like skins, but
no loot boxes."
That's not what he said.
Right.
He went, there's no cosmetic. He goes, there will be story DLC and some cosmetic stuff, but there will be no, and hear me out here, there will be no microtransactions.
Right.
Like, that's not the same thing, because he sped through the first part that it was easy to miss him saying there would be cosmetics and purchasable cosmetics and story DLC.
Yeah. And honestly, it's not like Randy Pitchford has the best reputation in this industry. Like,
it's not like he hasn't lied to our faces before.
Right. So the idea that, oh, poor Randy Pitchford, it's always the games press that's out to publish lies about him. And it's
maybe stop leaving your porn-filled USB drives at the fucking medieval times.
Or, like, I mean, okay, listen, I really don't know. I'm shooting from the hip on this one. But, like, weren't there articles talking about how he funneled money out of Aliens Colonial Marines into Borderlands? Like, he funneled money out of Aliens Colonial Marines to make his pet project with Borderlands?
It was never, like, fully
corroborated.
Confirmed,
okay.
but it was heavily, like, rumored.
Or into his personal bank account?
And it was personal bank account, from what I remember correctly. Like, it was, like, partially to other games, like, not just to Borderlands, but to other titles.
Right.
But also, because I think part of it was whatever that Battleborn.
Battleborn, okay.
I think a lot of it was to that as well.
Yeah.
But then also some of it to his own, like, offshore accounts or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, listen.
I don't remember correctly. People could call me an idiot and tell me I'm wrong. People do it all the time.
They will. This is the internet. But, like, here's the thing. No matter what, Gearbox has not been a sterling paragon of making the best video games in the world for the last 2 decades. There's been some shady shit. I don't think that Randy understands how much ill will Aliens Colonial Marines generated. Again, you just talked about it. Battleborn was their last game, right? That came out and was around for, 4 months, 6 months, like 8 months
and
before they shut it down and went free to play, then got shut down. And then, like, they bought the rights to Bulletstorm and shoved Duke Nukem in it and put that out. I mean, like, they're not a quality company. Like, Gearbox is not, like, I wouldn't consider them to be a AAA game developer publisher. I consider them to be like a AA game developer publisher, right? Like, they did something really wonderful with Borderlands, and they've been mostly repeating that structure. But in the things that they've made on their own that are not Borderlands, they republished Bulletstorm. They made Battleborn, which was a failure. They made Aliens Colonial Marines, that was a failure. What else has Gearbox made?
They completed the Duke Nukem.
Yeah, they put that out, which was like, I mean, like a sideshow. It was like morbid curiosity was the reason that I feel a lot of people played that game. So, I mean, the idea that Gearbox is just like the best developer in the world, it's not a thing to me.
I don't think anyone believes that.
I think he believes it. I think Pitchford believes it.
So I'll say this, and I'm gonna, and strangely enough, I'm gonna adhere. I'm gonna actually liken this to wrestling. If you talk to any professional wrestler, they will tell you they are the best wrestler in the world. This is like in real life, like not like in story, like I'm the best because I'm the good guy or anything like. But like in real life, if you talk to them, they'll be like, "No, I'm the best wrestler in that company."
Mm-hmm.
Because you kind of have to believe it.
Right. Because you don't want to be like, I'm a mediocre
you
failure.
don't want to be like, I'm never going to get anywhere in this company because I'm a fraud, I'm a sham, and I can't wrestle worth shit.
Right.
Because that's not how that industry works.
Yeah.
That industry, like, even the people who are bad wrestlers think that they are the best in that, because you have to kind of go in with that mindset. So as a game developer, as a person who is the head of a video game company, you kind of have to think, not only am I is this company fucking great,
right,
but I'm great for running this company, and we're the best company ever because look at how awesome we are. And you kind of have to think about it, because especially when you're promoting your games, you don't want to come out and be like, we added a bunch of stuff from Bulletstorm to Borderlands 3. It's all right. You don't want to come out. You want to be like, no, it's the best fucking game in the world.
I guess maybe what I'm trying to say here is that in this particular instance, it's like, yes, okay, fine. Still not a good look to be coming back at people on Twitter.
Yeah, well, it's Randy Pitchford, so what do you want?
So yeah.
Here's the thing. My thing was that at least during this press conference, he did not come out and start doing magic tricks randomly, which he does in almost every fucking press conference.
Let's see. Borderlands, Duke Nukem's Forever, Borderlands 2, Aliens Colonial Marines, Borderlands Pre-Sequel, Borderlands Enhancement Collection, Homeworld Remastered, which is broken, Homeworld Deserts of Karak, which nobody liked, Battleborn, Duke Nukem 3D 20th Anniversary Tour, which is re-release of that, Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition. Were they the publisher on We Happy Few?
I think they helped with it at one point, but also
was it publisher?
Yeah, they were the publisher. Also, they were the publisher for Borderlands the pre-sequel, because the studio that made it was an Australian studio that they bought.
Ah, okay.
So it technically was not them.
2K Australia.
Yeah.
Okay. And then apparently they're going to be publishing that Trover Saves the Universe game, that Justin Roiland game. But anyway, here's what I have to say. I don't like Randy Pitchford, but Borderlands 3 doesn't look like a shitty game. That's maybe where I am right now.
I love Borderlands. I actually like the Borderlands game, and I don't think this looked bad. It looked like more Borderlands, which is what I wanted. It had some modern upgrades to some of the games. I'm fine with that. I don't need them to reinvent the wheel. Just give me some more Borderlands and make the game better to play.
Well, there you go.
And that looks like what they've done.
Well, there you go. All right, let's see. Next up, in a move which I'm sure will not make anybody mad at all, Epic Games bought Psyonix, which is the people that make Rocket League this week.
Huh.
So, apparently, okay, so here's the thing. Here's the answer to your question. This will not be affecting Rocket League at all on any platform.
It shouldn't.
They basically just bought them to make something else that is not that. But
okay, good for them.
What I wonder is whether people are going to be mad. I mean, I don't know. I guess everybody's mad at Epic right now because again, I just, for the first time in human history, console wars have come to the PC, and I have very few tears to shed for the master race that has to install another app, John. 2 apps. My God.
Well, you gotta also appreciate the fucking audacity of some of the people at whoever it was at Epic that basically came out and said, "Look, we'll stop doing platform exclusivity the day that
Steam fixes the revenue share."
Steam gives a better revenue share, and like literally, it was just like, God damn.
Yep, that was weird. Anyway, that's happening. I don't really play Rocket League. I never really got the obsession with it. It just wasn't really a game for me. Like, I couldn't make it work.
Yeah.
But let's move from there to virtual reality. We actually had some big virtual reality stuff this week.
Yeah, I don't know any of this, but I knew it happened.
Okay, so Oculus has a new headset that's launching, the Rift S, which is basically just like kind of a revamped version of the Rift. But they also came out with a little bit more detail on the Oculus Quest, which is the standalone.
Yeah, there's no
headset.
You don't need a PC. There's no cables. It's all in one. There's no
like base stations.
There's no base stations. There's no IR receivers that you need to put around the room.
Yep.
It does everything all in the headset. I actually saw someone doing a video of one of these from GDC.
Oh, okay.
Doing like a demo.
I
of
watched
it.
the test video on it.
I was really impressed with what I saw. I was like, wow, if that's like affordable, that's kind of badass.
Me too, because like apparently it's like you just because the big difference with this is that it has cameras on the front.
Yeah,
and those cameras like are able to like look around you.
They're
and,
like a Kinect sensor camera where they can actually detect objects.
Right, but then what you do is that for every room you want to play in, it's like you literally paint on the ground the space that is safe for you to move in. And it's so interesting because they were showing in that tested video that like when you go out of that, like it's like the Vive where when you get close to the edge, it brings up that holodeck wall. And if you keep pushing towards that wall, a hole appears. And if you put your head into that hole, then it turns on the cameras on the front so you can literally see what you're about to run into.
And like there's even apparently like a way that you can do something to where you can like do a hotkey that if you need to, like if you hear someone come in the room or something like that, you could do something to where it'll pause the game and flip it to camera so you can see what's going on.
Yeah, which is great, which is really cool. So yeah, I this is kind of an interesting thing. I think that this would be a really great kind of early adoption thing for like they were talking about like Beat Saber works really well in it, and like Space Pirate Trainer works pretty well.
Yeah,
in
the
it.
video I saw, the guy played Beat Saber.
It was apparently it's a little bit lower fidelity than having it directly connect to a computer because it's all basically just it's a cell phone. Basically, it's a cell phone that's been made to just run nothing but VR games.
Actually, it was funny. The guy whose video I watched didn't realize it wasn't hooked up to a computer. He misunderstood what they were telling him it was.
Oh, yeah?
And he was like, yeah, and it looks great. The graphics look great. And I'm surprised at how quickly the video is streaming. And then, like, he moved on and then had to come back had to edit in, like, a section at the end of the video going, so earlier I kept saying this, and this might have confused some people because I didn't know this, but apparently doesn't need a computer. And I'm now even more impressed.
Yep.
Because even though it doesn't, the graphics still look good as far as what I could tell. So
yeah, the quests are going to be $399 and $499 for 64 and 128 gig internal memory per. But then apparently the $399 is also going to be the price of the revamped Oculus hardware headset as well. So and apparently the new Oculus headset doesn't require. Again, this is made to be used in a little bit. This one is made to be used connected to a computer, but it also doesn't need a base station. Like the original retail release Oculus had the little wands that you put behind your computer. Apparently, this one has the same kind of camera setup on it, so that you can just use it wherever you are.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Still has a wire, but it's one concentrated wire that then splits off down the middle.
Nice.
And then they've changed the controllers so that there used to be a loop that was on the bottom of the controllers. That loop is now on the top of the controllers. And the reason for that is it has embedded IR sensors on it that then the headset cameras can pick up where your hands are to give you that hand motion. So,
cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. I mean, this is one of those ones where I think this is a cool step. Like, $400, is not nothing to scoff at, right? But like the idea of having a standalone VR solution that doesn't require being plugged into anything, where you can kind of use in whatever room you want, that's cool. Yeah. That's cool.
I agree.
Now, on the other hand, Valve has decided to go the opposite direction. They have announced the Valve Index, which is basically a new headset with all their advancements are basically higher resolution, more field of vision, faster refresh rate. There's some new controllers. The controllers have been changed around. They have the one big thing is they have a strap on the inside of them, and so the Vive controllers can detect how many fingers you have on the handle. And apparently with this, with your hand being strapped into the controller, you can literally have all of your fingers off the controller. So like one of the things in the demo that people saw was you can play rock, paper, scissors, because if you have 2 fingers on it, that means it's scissors. If you have no fingers on it, that's paper. And if you have all the fingers on it, that means it's rock.
Oh, nice.
So anyway, new headset, 1440 by 1600 screens. The big thing with this is apparently it's going to be going up to 160 hertz refresh rate.
Wow.
Which apparently does make quite a bit of difference. That there's still some smearing in 90 where when you get up that high, it's just like it really feels a little bit crisper and cleaner. The big thing here is that this whole set, you can buy these a la carte, right? So you can buy the headset itself if you want to use, because it's compatible with the 2 Mark II base stations, the Lighthouse is what they call them, and it's compatible with the old controllers. Okay, so you can buy just the headset for $500. You can buy $279 for the controllers, or the base stations for $150. If you need all of them, it's $1,000, which It's $1,000 plus a computer that can do the stuff. I mean, like,
I don't know about that.
Don't get me wrong. Like, if I had a place that had a room that I could kind of dedicate to VR and a computer, and I was like, you know, like a wealthy person.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tomorrow I'd have this motherfucker. But, you know, I'm more out to buy the $400 garbage Oculus one so I can lay on my couch and watch Netflix in a movie theater as opposed to, this whole thing. Like, I had a friend who had a Vive. Both I had a friend and Brian Brushwood both have Vives. And, like,
I like how you had to specify I had a friend and also Brian Brushwood.
I want to make sure to differentiate because my friend bought a computer to run it, had it for 6 months, and then just sold it to somebody. He was like, I never fucking use this thing. And Brian doesn't ever fucking use his either.
Wow. Yeah.
And to be honest, I bought the big giant game, Ghost Giant, and the Hawk game for my PlayStation VR. I haven't played either one of them.
Wow.
I wanted to play them. I just haven't gotten around.
Yeah, I haven't played my VR in a while either.
But hey, you know what? If you're into VR, there's some new stuff.
Yeah,
some new stuff. Now, one of the things that is interesting about the Vive one is that Valve said that they are going to be making some kind of like new game specifically for this hardware.
Okay.
And they didn't really talk about what that's going to be. But there was a mysterious trailer that's probably fake, almost certainly fake, almost 100% fake for like Left 4 Dead 3, basically. I mean, it doesn't ever say Left 4 Dead 3, but it's got the hand, and then the hand makes a 3, and there's all this stuff that's from the Left 4 Dead series. It's a Canadian YouTube account that has uploaded one video and one video only, and the name of the video is 2019-06-11 WVLAG. It's just a bunch of text and stuff. This is almost certainly fake.
Yeah.
But
there's just enough plausibility to it not being fake.
Right. But there's one too many times in this game industry have we gotten the like, oh shit, wait, that was real?
Yeah.
What do you mean the bees thing was actually for Halo? But I don't know. This trailer looks good. I don't know if you were Valve and you were gonna make a game for your VR headset, would you do Left 4 Dead? I think I'd probably do Portal or Half-Life maybe.
Don't know.
Like, I guess I already have the Aperture Science things for the Vive. I don't know, John, what probability is there this is real? What do you think?
I'm going to say about it being real, probably about 40% possibility of it being real.
That high?
60% being fake.
Okay.
But almost assuredly it's fake.
Okay. And next up, let's talk about some trailers.
All right.
Let's talk about some trailers, John.
Yeah, let's do that.
So there weren't that many this week. In fact, like I said, there was very little outside of the Borderlands 3 news this week. We did, though, get a 3-minute trailer for the overview gameplay trailer for A Plague Tale: Innocence, a.k.a. why would anybody want to play this depressing-ass game where rats eat people?
Yeah, it's literally like you have a disease that's almost assuredly going to kill you, but you have to find the cure to that disease. However, we're in the Middle Ages, where everything's rats.
No, it's not even you have a disease. It's that your darling little brother has a disease.
Yeah, but it's just like also everything in this world is going to kill you.
Yep.
And it's dark and depressing.
Yep.
And everyone else in this world is dark and depressed.
Yep.
It's just it's futile. Like there's just no hope for anything. Everything is death, everything is bad, and you're going to be depressed and everything. And it's like I don't know that I want to play this game. I don't want to play this game at all. Like
because I mean, it just appears to be like a sneaking kind of puzzles, but all set up against this like very brutal. Everybody wants to kill you for some reason, and then also rats are just eating people like alive. Like rats will just eat human beings if they don't have a torch or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This comes out in like a week, and I don't know. I mean, there's even a part where the main character girl hits some guy in the face with a sling, and when it happens, she's just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't want to have to do that. It's like, oh my God, you don't want to play this game either. You don't want to play this game. I don't want to play this game. Did you guys even want to make this game? Because you haven't spent a lot of time on it. It's very pretty.
It's apparently the first of a series of games because it even has like a subtitle to it.
Oh, yeah?
Well, it's like, what is it? Plague something.
Plague Tale Innocence.
Yeah, Plague Tale Innocence, and then like the second one is supposed to be a Plague Tale something or other, and then
did they announce that?
Well, they kind of announced that this is the first part of a series.
Oh.
Like
I wasn't paying as much attention. I was trying really hard not to slit my own wrists while I watch this trailer.
But that's why it has the subtitle of Innocence.
Okay, great. Well,
because they're hoping.
Find out next week, I guess.
Sure.
I do like Focus Interactive stuff. This seems like grueling. It just seems grueling. Let's say what's not grueling. That's Hitman 2. And now, if you want to, you can basically buy just the Miami level for Hitman 2 if you want to just try it out. I don't remember what the pricing on it is because I already have it, so it doesn't like show up in my PlayStation store. I think it's like $10 or something like that, maybe 10 or $15. But it's the entire Miami level, which is gargantuan, by the way.
Yes, it is.
And then it also includes the Sean Bean, Elusive Target, Mark Bava, and then there was just a new challenge pack added that gets you the flamingo suit for use at any level when you beat it. Great. I love, you guys know me. I mean, I'm never going to pass up a chance to be like, yay, Hitman 2. Play it.
Yes.
Play it. And then last but not least, on the trailer front, we got a trailer for Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, which was a release date trailer.
Yeah, also kind of poking fun of itself a little bit.
Yeah, well, it started out with gameplay footage from some of their previous trailers with all these like forum posts and Twitter and on Steam with people saying like, God, this game looks shitty. Oh, this game just looks like it's terrible. And then it's
the art style looks like poop.
Yeah. And then it's Igarashi, is that his name? With the wine, and he throws it down and he says,
I will show them.
I will show them. I will prove them wrong. And then it's like, it looks like they've done some work. I don't know if those previous trailers were like pre-alpha. It kind of looks like some of this is a direct response to people's criticism. I think it looks really good. Like it looks better now than it did before.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
It looked just like a little kind of dull around the edges before, and now I think it just looks a lot sharper.
Yeah.
Like backgrounds seem to have more detail. It seems to be more kind of contrast between foreground and background. It seems like they've added in a lot more like shaders and light and stuff like that. But yeah, I was always excited for this. The only thing I was worried about was the art. And it looks like the art looks way, way better now.
Yeah, no, it looks really good.
And we'll find out on June 18th.
June's setting up to be a pretty good month.
Yep. Getting a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff is coming out.
People are going to have to buy me a lot of gifts for my birthday.
What's next week? What is next week?
Nothing.
There's something. Is it the week after that it's like Rage 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 2 weeks from now is Rage 2.
All right. Well, speaking of being enraged, I'm sure that some people were enraged they could not go to Japan to see the Kingdom Hearts concert that was put on there, and during which apparently Tetsuya Nomura came out to announce a DLC for Kingdom Hearts 3.
What?
Called Remind, and it's going to be both free and paid. Apparently, like, if you don't pay for it, you still get the Keyblade and some stuff. But if you pay for it, then you get to like go to the place and do the adventure with the characters and whatnot. So no real idea when it's coming out. But there you go. The people like Kingdom Hearts, more Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, good for you.
Yep. Let's see. And then we got some fun stuff before we get out of here. So there was a big mod called Daughters of Ash that was these group who spent like several years and several thousand hours basically remixing Dark Souls 1.
Oh, okay.
Like they added in literally like new items with different, they would use like the same icon, but it would be like this item now does something completely different from what it used to do. They changed enemy AIs, they changed enemy placement, they moved everything around to basically try to give people a new Dark Souls experience. And it was only available on the PC. It's still available on the PC, but it was only available for the regular Dark Souls edition. Apparently, it has now been ported over to the remastered Dark Souls 1. So if you want to play it, you can play that. However, if you're on the console... Nope, that's not a good segue. However, maybe you're not into dark fantasy. Maybe you're into samurai and also trains And if that's the case, then those silly modders over on the PC have changed the snake fight in Sekiro to be Thomas the Tank Engine instead of the giant white snake, because of course they have.
I'm just surprised that someone hasn't modded it to when the giant white snake comes out, it just plays music by Whitesnake.
Oh yeah, nope.
The band.
That may exist, and if it doesn't, maybe I'll make that, and maybe I'll get to be on one of these websites. How hard could it be? I was just kind of confused. Okay, so here's my thing. It's just Thomas.
Yeah, because it's a character model that's been going around, like
right.
It's an asset that's been around. It's just Thomas.
And the snake, though, I really wish it had been the whole train, because the snake is snaky. Trains are like snakes. Trains and snakes are exactly the same. So yeah. Also, one of the other things that the internet really likes to put into video games is Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah,
so
that's true too.
I would see a giant slithery Macho Man Randy Savage coming after you and just saying, "Oh yeah," just whenever he's coming through the valley. Last but not least, this is so weird. There's a company that called FOW Interactive that has made like all this kind of like video game porno stuff. A lot of it's not friendly. It's very hard.
Very rapey.
Yes, very rapey. And they came out and they decided they wanted to do a Kickstarter for a video game. And the video game is called Subverse. And apparently they were asking for 100,000 euros and they got 1.6 million euros. And this is like visual novel meets top-down Star Control style shooter meets XCOM tactical RPG style game meets full-on pornographic waifu sex simulator.
Yeah.
Which
I
think that this is interesting, if not for nothing else than it makes the case of, well, first off, this game looks remarkably professional to me. Like it seems like, I mean, the parts that don't have boobs in them seem like these could be screenshots from a video game, except for the fact that the character's name is William Dildo Fingers. But like other than that, like the XCOM stuff looks like an XCOM game, or like the space combat, except for the fact there's a giant butt and the missiles kind of look like penises. Could be any Steam game that I've played,
even with the giant butt and the missile penises.
The missile penises, yes. So okay, I guess what I'm saying is that you bet your ass we are going to play this game when it comes out, and possibly even a full sequential, because this game, the production quality on this game is so high, and apparently
from the looks of it, from
the trailer that they have, from the humor that they have, it seems like the sort of game that is funny. In fact, they even was reading with them where they were talking about how when they first started making the game, apparently they were kind of shooting in a darker direction, the way that their other really rapey movie stuff is. And then they were like, I don't know if this works. And then as soon as they were like, what if it was a comedy? And they were just like, oh, right, this is perfect. So it's a Mass Effect sex comedy with XCOM and Star Control and boob jiggle physics. Why the fuck not? I mean, hey, you know what? This is the internet. If you can put Thomas the Tank Engine into Sekiro, you can make a $1.6 million. It'll probably come out before Star Citizen. That's all I got to say.
Probably.
So, I don't know. It's already been funded, so it's not like you can, it'll be on Steam Early Access sometime later this year.
I think they actually, on their Kickstarter, I think I saw they had a link to the Steam page for it.
Yeah, and I think that they actually have a release date that it's July is when the Early Access is going to come out. But I think I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for the whole experience, John. Whole experience.
Unless it's just that dead.
Yeah, that's true. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to read some questions. So everybody stick around, and we'll see you then. And we're back.
Hey.
And it's time for questions, John. You ready for questions, John?
I am ready for questions.
You ready for the questions?
I'm ready.
Are you psyched?
Yes.
Hyped?
Sure.
Pumped?
Maybe.
Okay. MailerRaceLite.com is the email address. Our first question this week comes in from Boop, ba-da, bop, ba-doop, boop, boop. I'm going to call you Mark. Mark126, a.k.a. Mauricio, says, sup, Jeff and John? Mark126, a.k.a. Mauricio, here once again for the podcast. Context. Gotham, the CWDC show, Arrow Flash, the Avengers Endgame movie, and the ending of Game of Thrones are all finally coming this year or early next year. A lot of Western television media is ending, and feels like I can't talk to anybody about it since none of my friends and family don't watch the stuff. I grew up with these fictional stories, and now they're coming to terms with the fact that they're gone forever. Question: what is a game/book/movie that affected you emotionally, and why? Like you cried or changed your outlook on life and stuff like that. Thanks. P.S. Are you guys doing a Game of Thrones spoiler cast in the future when it ends? From Mauricio. I can answer that. I don't know that any of us are big enough Game of Thrones fans.
I've only watched the first 3 episodes.
I watch it. Like I currently am watching it, but I'm just kind of. I mean, like I'm watching it because it's coming to an end, because it's been on for a long time, but it definitely isn't the. I don't know. They're really having to rush to the end of it, so it felt like the beginning was.
And I will
leisurely.
say, in my part of the having not watched it, this is not a case of me being like, oh, I haven't watched it and going out of my way to tell everyone that I haven't watched it. I just haven't watched it. Like
right.
if I don't have HBO.
Yeah.
If someone said, hey, I've got all the seasons of Game of Thrones on Blu-ray and I will loan them to you, sure, I'd take them and watch them.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like my reason for now, but I don't have any desire to. Like I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it.
Sure,
but you know,
it's like you're not saying it's a bad show.
Yeah,
you're not saying you don't like it. You're just saying that like at a certain point, some of these shows, it's like I feel that way with Supernatural, where it's like it's too much of an investment to start, right? Because there's a shitload of it, and I kind of have other things that I'm doing right now. Game, book, movie, etc. that affect you emotionally. Maybe we'll put a twist on this and say affected you emotionally when it like came to an end, right? Because I feel that's kind of the context of this, is that there's so much of this stuff that has been around for so long that we're kind of seeing the end of it. Something maybe that kind of came to an end. I'll tell you what, John. I cry every single time I watch the last episode of Star Trek Next Generation where Picard comes in to play cards with them, and it's just like, woo, boy, that one always gets me right in the feels. Because the thing is that was a show that I grew up with. Like, that was on when I was like from the age of, 10 to like 18 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
and also that was at a time when shows didn't really get endings. They got canceled and left with like a big cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I can honestly say there's a lot of shows growing up that I had more outrage for because I would never get to see the ending that it promised.
Yeah.
Or that what happened next, that it promised or didn't promise, or it just kind of ended on this like, well, shit, what, well, okay.
I could for TV shows I could say the ones that are coming to mind when I think about it, Cheers ended. I watched Cheers for a long time, and that had a really kind of a nice, poignant ending. Farscape I really enjoyed, and then when they had the Peacekeeper Wars was like the end of that show.
I've never seen the Peacekeeper Wars.
Really? So you just got to the end of that horrible cliffhanger at the end of season 4 where they just chopped it off?
Like I don't think I've watched any of season 4, truthfully.
Oh, really?
I think because that was when it switched to sci-fi, right? Or did it switch in sci-fi in 3?
It was 4 was when it switched to sci-fi.
Yeah.
And 4 was good. It's just that like they got told they were canceled like when it was too late for them to make. And so the horrible thing in season 4 is that season 4 all the way up to like the last 5 minutes of the show kind of puts a cap on the end to the series, and then right in the last 5 minutes a thing happens that sets up the horrible cliffhanger for whatever the next season's going to be. And it's like, motherfucker, if you guys had just ended the show 5 minutes before that part, we could have all just been like, yay, hooray. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Peacekeeper Wars, so like getting that as the actual ending of the show was great. But that was another one where I was watching it, as it was coming out, and so when it came to an end,
I don't know if it was necessarily a what's the word I'm looking for? gave me an emotional reaction.
Okay.
But I know one ending I really liked was Babylon 5.
Okay.
So
I never have been able to. It's been really hard. I've tried a few times over the years, but like, man, those early seasons have some 90s motherfucking special effects.
Well, they're all made from the Amiga.
Yeah.
On the Amiga TV.
And
back when that was like cheap and okay.
Yeah. It's just very distracting. It's very distracting in the first few seasons, and I don't think I've ever gotten all the way to the end of season 1 of Babylon 5. But
yeah,
that's not to say again. It's not like
yeah.
But
yeah, as far as like, I know that there's stuff that like movies or franchises or whatever. I know book wise that really affected me. We 3.
Okay.
It's a comic book. I think it's only like 3 issues long. It's a graphic, you can buy it, trade collection, graphic novel. It's written by Grant Morrison. It's about a cat, a dog, and a bunny that that the government did like these like weird cybernetic like experiments on to turn them into killing weapons.
Okay.
And they escape.
Okay.
And it's very much a like Milo and Otis or whatever animals on the road, but like they're like these cybernetic death killing machines,
right?
But like the dog is very much like a dog, and like he can talk, and like they put like speeches, like things that can translate their thoughts and things like that. And the cat is very much a cat, and the dog and the bunny, and it's literally them escaping this government that's trying to hunt them down because their fucking weapons are gonna, that even if they don't want to kill people, they're probably gonna kill people,
right?
Because that's what they've been trained to do, essentially. And just the last page literally brought me to tears.
Okay. See, the weird thing with comics is that like I was trying to think of any of the like superhero comics, but they don't end, right? There wasn't like the last issue of Superman, right? There wasn't one of. I mean, there have been ends to arcs, and like something like maybe All-Star Superman has a great ending. Like I was thinking,
I mean, All-Star Superman has a good ending. There's also
I like Red Sun's ending a lot.
I thought it was a little contrived, but it's good. It's not. It's good though. But like I mean, if you want to look at the golden age of Superman, you go to Alan Moore's Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow,
right?
Where it's literally the end of Superman, for that generation. So I mean, there are endings in superhero comics, but I don't really get that emotional at superhero stuff. Like the only other comic I can think of that I was super emotional is a book that actually got turned into a movie, and I've actually been reluctant to watch the movie. I Kill Giants. I bawled like a child throughout the entirety of that book.
Okay.
Because it hit very close to home for me. And like just the whole thing hit very close. And then like they turned it to a movie, and like I've heard middling things about the movie, but like I'm also like, because of the reaction I had to that comic, I don't want to watch that movie, but at the same time I really want to watch that movie because that comic was fucking excellent. Yeah. And I recommend going to it. But just be prepared for the tears.
It's yeah, man, I'm trying to think of comics. I mean, the only other one that came to mind, and it wasn't like it was kind of the opposite of like having deep emotions, but I mean, my favorite comic of all time is Transmetropolitan. Yeah. And I really like the way that ends because it's just...
Yeah, it's a good ending. Planetary has a good fuck yeah ending. Like, it's an elation ending. Like, yes, yes, this is the only way it could have ended, and it's so great. Yeah. I mean, we
only had to wait for fucking 20 years
for those last 2 issues.
to get the last 2 issues.
But
movies, it's hard too because I mean, like
Frequency hit me pretty hard. Again, it hit very close to home. Yeah, like that's the things that hit me, or things that hit very close to home. Guardians of the Galaxy and even Guardians of the Galaxy 2 both hit very close to home for me with certain aspects. Okay, like I teared up in both of those, in those as well. Spider-Man, the Marvel Spider-Man game that came out for the PS4 last year. We talked about that, and someone got upset that I kind of inadvertently spoiled something in that game.
It's weird because the thing about games as well is that like I was trying to think of game franchises that have like definitively ended, and like the one that came to mind was Metal Gear, because like so many of the game properties that we have are are not auteur driven; they're like studio driven.
Yeah.
So it's like, a new Resident Evil game may have like a good ending to that arc, but you don't get the impression that Resident Evil, the franchise, is over. Or like Mass Effect 3 was better or worse. The ending of Mass Effect 3 was the ending of Mass Effect 3. But then they made Mass Effect Andromeda, and then there's always like, well, when are they going to make another Mass Effect game? Because it doesn't feel like things end as much in the video game world as they do in some of the other places, because they're just not as driven by an individual creator as they are by a company, and that company just wants to keep making games and keep making money, as opposed to being like, no, this franchise should be over, and then we'll just move on from there.
Yeah. I feel like there was something recently that actually did affect me, and I can't for the life of me remember what it was.
A game?
Actually is, but no, I don't know if it was a game or a movie or fucking YouTube video for all I know. But it was something, and it was actually like
it's the latest H3H3.
I want to say it was I want to say it was like a movie or a TV show more specifically, but I just can't for the life of me think of what it was.
Okay. I mean, the other thing with movies, right, is that again, like Harry Potter, I guess, had an ending.
Yeah.
Like I actually think back to, like Return of the Jedi was the ending of the original trilogy, but like I don't think Return of the Jedi is a very good ending. It was just like, we set Darth Vader on fire, everybody's going to sing an Ewok song. Dun, 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 and it's like, all right. Matrix kind of fell over a little bit, even though I don't think those movies are quite as bad as everybody else does, but
I think the third Matrix movie is better than people give it credit.
Yeah.
But I also think it's still a bad movie.
Yeah.
I think the second one is pure garbage. And you can argue with me all day on it. The second one is garbage.
Again, it's
but it's also a personal preference,
right? That's every time we talk about this stuff, it's a personal preference.
Yeah.
Thing.
So
the Nolan Batman trilogy kind of ended on a fart. Like if people don't like the Bane one as much as they like the second one.
Yeah.
So I feel like sticking the landing. And you could say like Return of the King, but then Return of the King had so many endings that I felt like I started to get emotional, and then I realized there were 20 more minutes, and then I got emotional again, and then I got emotional a little bit less, and then by the time we're to the actual end of, they're going back to the Shire, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm spent. You spent me. I tear up in that movie when fucking Vigo says like, you bow to no one, like, and I'm like, oh, that's great, like the little hobbits, they finish their quest, that's very emotional, but like, my God, you gotta get over the whole was jumping on the bed.
For a second there, I was literally wishing I cut in there when you're like, and when Vigo looks at it says, that'll do, pig. But like I
and then it's like Frodo's getting on the boat, and now we're going back to and it's like, oh my God, like look, I understand all this shit happened in the book, it's just the way that it's all shot. It's like, here's the climax, and then the rest of the movie should have been 10 minutes long and not 45.
But yeah.
Anyway, I think I don't know. I think that'll probably, unless you got something else that just immediately has come to mind.
No.
I think we'll jump into the next one. Let's see. This one comes in from Dan. Dan says, hello. I live in a small town, and we won't get Endgame at our little theater for a couple of weeks. My Facebook friends have been good about avoiding spoilers, but alas, it was not meant to be. While watching a live stream about a recently released line of guitars, I have the best job ever, people were coming into the chat and spamming it with spoilers. As a fellow hater of spoilers, do you have any advice for those who simply cannot unplug until they get a chance to catch up on whatever pop culture is currently serving up? Keep up the great work. And that's from Dan.
I literally ignored anything that had human interaction or that could talk about where I thought Endgame might be talked about.
Yeah,
for 4 days.
Yeah, I kind of just went offline, and it's not hard for me because I don't do Facebook anymore, and I look at Twitter, and the people that I was complaining about on Twitter, they didn't see it until after I'd managed to see it, but. Anywhere where there's people, like I made sure that on our Twitch stream we were okay because I had that thing turned on where you can't comment unless you've been subscribed for an hour. So like if I ban you, you're either gonna have to go get a new IP or you're gonna have to do some nonsense. And even if you get a new IP, you're gonna have to subscribe and then wait for an hour to be able to try to do that shit again. But it's hard. I mean, like I kind of think that the way to avoid spoilers is like if you know something like Endgame is going to be coming out and you are sensitive about it, like try to get tickets as fast as you can, try to get time to see it as quickly as you can, and then like in the time that it comes out, watch Hulu, read a book, play a video game.
Yeah, but in regards to this guy, I mean, he obviously couldn't get it as quickly as he could. The quickly as he could is 2 weeks after it came out.
Yep. No.
So, and unfortunately that is the case for some people, and that sucks, and I'm sorry, as far as like if you're watching a stream, if you can
turn off the chat.
Yeah, turn off the chat, hide the chat, don't look at the chat. Forget about the chat. Even if you're like, man, I really want to watch this chat or watch this stream and I want to comment in the chat, just don't do it.
It's basically just a trade-off. Like any human interaction that you're going to have around a big thing is going to have the potential for spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, even just walking into a place of business, walking into work and seeing coworkers, you're possibly going to get spoiled unintentionally.
I was worried when we took a break. Michael and I went down out on my back porch where I smoke, and I was worried about being too loud out there. Like, because I don't want my neighbors to be out there and just like hearing stuff drift in over the wind. It was like, So yeah, it's difficult. It's not as hard for me because even though I have to be on some social media to promote Rage Select, I can just stop reading all the comments and everything.
Yeah.
Because I have spent time weaning myself off of having to be on the internet, right?
Yeah.
I can read my book. I can watch Hulu. I just started watching Rick and Morty last week, just rewatching all Rick and Morty, and I'm just like, I can do that. There are no spoilers for Avengers Endgame in old episodes of Rick and Morty
that you know of.
That I know of. That is correct. If there were, that would be pretty amazing. Yeah. So
you get to episode 15 of season 2, and Morty looks at the camera and goes, "Avengers Endgame ends with blah 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 blah," and you're like, "Huh, I don't remember that joke," or "Huh, I thought that joke was weird at the time, but I guess."
Yeah, you remember that part in Avengers Endgame when Captain America turned into a pickle? It was really weird. And said, "I'm Pickle Cap." I was like, what? Weird. That is, though, not the weirdest. Ever since X3 The Last Stand, when Vinnie Jones says, "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch," I was like, it wouldn't surprise me if there was like an obscure reference to some Marvel pickle man that was, yeah. Anyway, Brandon writes in with another comment question, sort of, and says, "Hello, Jeff and John. Brandon here with one of them questions. So I hate to sound like a hipster, but I am getting tired of superhero movies lately. I think with 3+ a year, they've just burnt me out. Movies are still quality, but I can't find myself caring anymore. Are either of you experiencing this with superheroes? Thanks for all the hard work." And that's from Brandon.
For me personally, no.
Okay.
Because I just like movies, and I don't care what kind of movie they are. Like, I watch a lot of movies.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to get burned out on a specific type.
Right.
So, yeah, I also, I read a lot of comic books, so it's I'm surrounded by superheroes.
You're the target audience. I'm the
target audience.
Yeah.
Now, I get it, though. Like, I totally get it if people are like, "I'm burned out on superheroes." I get it. But
so for me, I think that, like, you have to kind of look back on what superhero movies used to be, what they became with the MCU, and what they are now. Movies used to be like you didn't get 3 a year. You got one every couple of years.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a special thing to just be like, well, let's go see if they did The Punisher right. Like, no, they didn't. Okay, bye-bye. I'll see you guys next year for Spider-Man 3, right? But now I feel like it's become a genre the same way that, like, action is a genre.
Or horror.
Or comedy, right? Where I no longer feel the need to go see them in the theater, but I'm still interested. So, like, Ant-Man and the Wasp, I didn't bother watching in the theater, and I was fine with waiting until it came out on Blu-ray to basically just watch it.
I was like that with Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah. I haven't seen Captain Marvel. Like, I still haven't seen Captain Marvel. I watched Endgame. I haven't even seen Captain Marvel yet because I'm just not. To me, going to the theater is a big production. You like it, You and Amanda really like it. I don't really like it. Like, it's kind of one of those things that I will bear to see whatever something is to see it brand new. But I'm not exactly like, yay, the theater, because it's always overpriced and there's always some problem and I don't like it. And Jeff is a grouchy bitch, right? We all know that. But so now it's like, for example, Shazam is a movie that I'm kind of interested in.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go to the theater. I don't want to take the time to go to a theater to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm willing to wait for it to come to home video.
Ditto on that.
I got burned a little bit, by some of the movies that came out where I went and watched them in the theater. And I want a theater movie to be of a certain quality that I don't demand of a home video release. So, I watched Venom when it came out I rented it off of Google Play. I sat here with my 4K TV. I watched Venom. And I was like, But then the thing is that I've watched plenty of action movies or sci-fi movies over the years, and I don't especially feel burned on them if I'm just, I wasted $4 and 2 hours of my time to watch them here at home, as opposed to wasting $25 and a trip to the theater and buying tickets and hoping that there's not somebody sitting next to me that's being gross or, blah, 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 blah. Sitting through 10 minutes of previews. The floor is sticky. This place is too cold. This food all costs way too much, So that's where I am, is that I'm not necessarily burned out on superheroes. I think that a lot of times when people say burned out, what they don't mean burned out, they mean it's just not special anymore. Like, it's not an event every time one comes out. You don't feel the need to rush out and see whatever the new one is.
Yeah.
You feel comfortable waiting to see it on your own terms than just having to get the fuck out there right now and see it. And that's where I am. I've talked about it before. I watched Justice League, and I was like, it wasn't great. It wasn't
Still haven't seen Justice League.
Wasn't the
or
worst.
Aquaman.
Yeah. I watched Aquaman. I watched it here in my house. Watch Aquaman right here.
Haven't seen Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
John hates... You guys heard it. John hates the DC universe.
In the movies.
You're a shill. Marvel is paying you. How much does Marvel pay you? No, just kidding.
Well, maybe if DC or Warner Brothers would release a good DC movie.
Damn. Shots fired. What do you got to say for yourself, Warner Brothers? Write into the mail at rageslide.com and tell us, why are your movies so bad? Anyway, I don't know. I think that that's what it is. This is not necessarily burned out. It's just that you don't feel the same level of, oh my God, oh fuck, I got to go see that new Captain America movie. But, all right, let's take some questions from the Discord. Let's see here. Let's pull the Discord.
What up, Discord peeps?
Rayman Ryan says, this is from last week, but we'll do it this week. Hi, Jeff and John. Recently, I find myself tired of the same old enemies in video games. Zombies, Nazis, aliens, or giant vaginas with eyes and teeth. What new and interesting enemies would you guys like to see in video games? Thanks again. Stay classy, and all hail the Dong Lord. That's from Rayman Ryan. Are you tired of zombies, robots, aliens?
Vaginas with teeth.
Vaginas with teeth? Is it Dead Space? Is that what you're talking about? Right? I mean, I can kind of see it, but
I'm tired of zombies.
Yeah,
but I get it. I get why zombies are easy. They're it's the same thing with robots. Robots and zombies are the same thing. They're a thing that can be killed that people go, oh, well, I understand. And it's not like, oh, my son's a mass murderer. He's going around in these video games and just killing innocent people.
Right.
No, he's killing monsters. He's killing, it's. There's a societal expectation with that.
Right.
So I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of tired of zombies.
I've been tired of zombies for a while. I mean, I think I've seen every variant of a zombie, and they're not really all that interesting anymore. Honestly, like the last in Resident Evil 7, the Baker family was way more interesting than any of the
I agree with that.
monsters that were around them. And it was almost like, because I know these characters, they're more interesting than just like a nameless, faceless thing that I have to overcome. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really tired of them. I always appreciate it when somebody tries to make more of an effort than just, hey, here's zombies, hey, here's robots, hey, here's monsters. I guess the question is like, what would you put in there? I don't know. Sometimes when you've been playing a game for long enough, it just kind of becomes like wireframe, right? Like you're not really thinking about what it is. You're just going through the visceral experience of, lining up a shot, seeing something quote unquote die and overcoming that to get to the next place. I mean, not to bring every single thing in the world back to Dark Souls, but like, I do feel that Dark Souls has a really great variety of
vaginas with teeth.
Vaginas with teeth, yes. Is that you've got the undead vaginas with teeth, you've got the Nazi vaginas with teeth, you got the robot vaginas with teeth, you got all the different types of vaginas with teeth in that game. No,
I don't think we were playing the same game, Jeff.
But I mean, like, that game, the different biomes have different enemies. You got plant monsters, you got regular undead guys. I mean, technically, the hollows are kind of zombies, but then you've got, dragons and suits of armor and like lava scorpions and there's just all kinds of shit in that game for you to smack around. Boars with helmets on for some reason, and I like the variety of different. I always like it better when a video game has different types of enemies. Maybe that's where I fall on this spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Is that like I was kind of bored in Sekiro in the beginning because it was like everything was a person. Was it just a different variety of person with sword, person with gun, bigger person with sword, and later on you start to get some more like animals and stuff in there, and that's cool. But like early on, it was just like, look, more guys with swords. Everybody, let's go kill them guys with swords. I don't know. Oh man, John, I'm sorry, I did not expect this to happen. Septum Sin has a Dark Souls question and asks.
Shocked.
Question about Dark Souls. I've been slowly leveling vitality, endurance, strength, and dexterity, keeping them equal. Is this a good build, or am I wasting my time doing and Souls doing it this way? So the answer to that question is okay, Septum Sin. This is also a couple of weeks late for you, but hey, here's the answer to that question. Generally speaking, in Dark Souls 1, which I know is the one that you're playing, you want to pick the weapon you want to use, level your stats up to whatever that level is, and then concentrate more on upgrading the weapon than upgrading your stats. Like if a thing has an S rank in the skill balance, then you will do better the more you put it in there. But like the main thing is keep an eye on whatever those ranks are. So I mean, you remember, right? Like a weapon has like if it has a B rank in strength, it means that like it scales with your strength at a B, whereas if it has an S rank, then it means it scales a lot better. So pick your weapon carefully, level your weapon up. Don't over level stats that aren't directly. It's better to usually pick either strength or dex, and then just pump everything else into those other stats. Yeah. If you want to know more, just ask me about it in the direct chat, and I'll lay it down. Kate Josie writes, "Hey Jeff, you probably talked about this on the last podcast, but I saw a story about how Mortal Kombat 11 is already on sale. I can't help but feel this sort of story is supposed to be a bad thing. Show that Mortal Kombat 11 isn't a good game and therefore doesn't deserve to stay at $60 or $100 depending on what you plan to buy. What do you think that this sort of story is deemed? Why do you think this sort of story is deemed as a bad thing rather than a good thing, so that more people will be able to play this great game?" That was I don't think they're still doing it, but I think it was like Walmart and then Amazon price matching Walmart had a $45 for MK11, and it was like 4 days after it came out or something like that. Wow. And I think it might have been a time limited thing.
Yeah,
I didn't get the impression. Like, I guess it depends on why the price is dropped. I didn't get the impression that the price was dropped because it wasn't selling well. Maybe it was, but
I don't know. It's the first time hearing about it, but then again, I don't really pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, what do you think the general overall connotation of price drop being a bad thing? Because I mean, I understand that like if you paid a full $60 and 3 days later you could have gotten it for $45, right? That is difficult, right?
Yeah.
That's something that you don't want to see because it makes you feel stupid.
Or that 1 year where they released WWE 2K, one of the 2K games, and then like 6 months later gave it away for free.
Oh yeah.
Like literally 6 months later, and it was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. However, it should be noted that like if you keep an eye on stuff and you don't have to buy games the day they come out, you can get games a lot cheaper than $60. Like most games drop within the first 6 months, at least somewhat, or you can find some kind of sale or some kind of coupon or something that you can use to get it for less than the face retail price. Usually it doesn't happen that quick, though.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the thinking was in that, if it was just some kind of like loss leader sale that they were running or something. But the impression that I got was that I think it was Walmart that did it, and that like Amazon has a price match thing where they were matching it. But on the whole, I mean, I don't. You'll be better at answering this question than I would, I think, John.
Would
because, well, I write all my games off my taxes, so I'm kind of blasé. Like I don't deal hunt, right? I buy the new games when they come out, and then I write all that money off my taxes at the end of the year. So it's not like I shop for discounts or look for stuff that's on sale.
I don't really shop for discounts either.
No? Okay. I mean, do you feel like, does that price drop mean anything to you within the first few days? Does it make you feel mad that you paid full price for it, or did you?
No.
You paid full price for it, right?
I pre-ordered that at the Ultimate Edition or whatever it was called to get the season pass. And the full thing. So
you paid the whole amount, all the money.
Yeah, I paid the whole thing. So I mean, you know what? I want I wanted it the day it came out. I wasn't prepared to wait. So I look at it like, you know what? If I didn't want to pay that amount, like that was the amount. Like that's also kind of the thing with me is like at the time that I buy something, in my mind, it's okay. I've already agreed to pay that amount.
Right.
If tomorrow it's cheaper, that doesn't matter to me because I was okay with paying the amount I'm paying.
Right.
At that time, if I was not okay with paying that amount, I wouldn't have bought it.
Right.
And
if you thought it was too pricey, you wouldn't have bought it up front. So. Plus, I mean, how many times in this game industry? I mean, Ed, every time there's a price drop for a console, somebody bought that console the day before that price drop happened.
And there are a lot of places that will make good on that. Like if you bought it within like a certain amount of time of a price drop, and you bring it back and be like, hey, I bought. Like you bring them the receipt. Like I paid $500 for this console that's now $300. As long as it's not like that receipt's like 12 months old, sir, or that like, oh, you just bought it yesterday and the sale got announced today. Okay, yeah, most companies will do good on you.
Yeah.
Within reason.
But somebody's always going to, I mean, every time there's a sale on the PlayStation Network where something is $20 less than it was yesterday, somebody bought that shit yesterday. Somebody bought that shit on Steam. So I don't feel like there's any way to really defend against that, and I don't know that I really expect. I don't expect companies. You know what? Here, I'm going to look it up on Amazon to see if it's still that.
I apologize for suddenly becoming nasally. My allergies have been kicking up all day.
Yeah, you'll get some Claritin. What was it? Mortal Kombat 11. But in general, I don't. It doesn't really affect me all that much. So
yeah,
$50, $50. Yeah, it's still $50 across the board on Amazon, PS4, Switch, Xbox One. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really mind. I mean, again, also it comes down to I would never voluntarily pay more, but if it's $10 more, the difference in $10 is not huge in my world, right? I don't know. Anyway, let's see. Puffin Stuff writes in and says, really appreciate the discussion on my last question. Mike brought something up last episode about a guy who straight up ignored an author explaining his reasoning behind a story. This is wait, or was that you?
I don't think that was me.
Not you. Okay. This is a common conflict of interpretations known as death of the author, whereby a consumer of a piece of fiction makes it so an author's intention for a piece of literature is irrelevant to the work. I was wondering where you guys fall on the interpretation. Does an author have the final say in his or her work, or is it all a matter of personal perspective? If this comes off as gibberish, let me know. I've been drinking tonight. No, basically, you're asking if we agree with death of the author concept.
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
I mean, I think I understand what it's about or what you're talking about, but I don't know specifically what that topic is. But
I mean, let me lay it out for anybody who doesn't know from the context of the question. Is basically just the idea that there are two concepts: that the work of an artist means whatever it means to you personally, regardless of the artist's intent, or that the artist has the last word of saying this is about X, not whatever it meant to you, right?
Yeah. So I feel that both are valid on different levels, but I also feel like I also do side with like both are valid. I feel like both are valid. Like I wrote something, this was my intent with it, this is the meaning behind it.
Right.
This is the thing that I wrote. That is valid, and I do feel like people should know that. Like that it is something good to know. However, if someone looks at it and goes, well, I don't see that, I see this other thing.
Right.
And that is true for them. Like, that is also valid. That is as equally as valid as the original intention.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if society as a whole says, yeah, we see this, not that, and while you may have written it, you're wrong, then unfortunately society is right on that term. If a mass majority of people say this is the interpretation we're taking from it,
mm-hmm.
then that's probably what the intention is going to be. But I still feel that both are valid points. Because, again, as an artist, your job, a creator of any kind, whether it's through music or art or television or movies or acting or Let's Plays or whatever, whatever your intent, your job is to make it, is to make the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is not really to tell people how to interpret that thing. You can say what your intent was behind it,
sure,
to help infer their interpretation,
right?
But that does not go is not more important than that person's interpretation, I guess is the way it's like. What it was like. There was an interview with Donald Glover about Childish Gambino about when This Is America came out,
right?
And the guy really just like he was on the press tour for Solo, and like the guy really wanted to talk about the This Is America because it literally dropped like the day before this press tour, and the guy was like, "What about all this meaning and all the behind?" He goes, "Well, what did it mean to you?" And he kept like just saying, "Well, what did it mean to you?"
Right.
Like, and the guy was like, "But no, I'm asking you, what does this mean?" He goes, my opinion doesn't matter. I made it. My job's done.
Right.
My job, me making it, and what it means to me is only important to me. Your interpretation, as a journalist, and society's interpretation of it, once I've released it, only your interpretation matters. And I'm not gonna like his opinion.
I think the example that was brought up last week was, I think Mike was telling a story about a guy who was literally at like a Q&A for an author's new book, and asked the author to basically go into his own personal interpretation. The author said, well, that's not what this book is about. It's about, I wrote it about X, Y, and Z. And the person literally was like, well, you're wrong. That's not about that. It's about the thing that I think it's about. And so I've run into that attitude. I kind of agree with you that both interpretations are valid. I don't really like the idea of any group telling an artist that your thing isn't about, we've taken your thing away from you, and now it's about this, not what you intended. Not what you intended.
There's again, it's, and I think that because again, like there was a comic that came out recently, a Star Wars Darth Vader comic, if I remember correctly, and there was a big controversy about it in the comics industry because the story was not taking place from Darth Vader's point of view. The story was taking place from the point of view of a nurse on the Death Star that worked under a doctor, and she
I've heard about this.
And she happened to be super upset, like fangirl hard for Darth Vader,
right? Like
to the point of being psychotic.
Yeah,
and a lot of female fans interpreted that as, fuck you fans, you're garbage. Like that's their entire the entire story. It was interpreted as fuck fangirls, they're garbage. Which the artist was like, no, that's not what I was trying to say at all. Like I was trying to do this whole story about like that she's
obsession,
how obsession can hurt, but it wasn't targeted at anyone specifically. It was like he very defensive. But it was interpreted in this weird way, which, having looked at the comic and read some of the stuff, I can totally see where that interpretation comes from.
Right.
But I also feel like there is a point where while you can say, I don't agree with your interpretation, I'm going to stick with my interpretation.
Right.
You can't deny that the interpretation of what it was created under. Like, you can't say, well, fuck you and everything you stand for because I don't agree with what you were meaning to do. I interpreted it differently, and mine's 100%. But at the same time, your interpretation is valid. And I kind of do feel like that creator should have said, that's an interesting to interpret, this is what you think it meant. That's an interesting interpretation. This is what I meant when I wrote it.
Right.
The fact that you interpreted it something completely different, that's still valid.
Yeah.
And I think and if it was a thing where the guy was like, oh, I really like this and I want to confirm that my interpretation is correct, well, it's like, well, for you it is correct.
Yeah.
That's literally, I feel like that's kind of where authors should be. Like, if you want to know what made me write this and what was behind what I wrote.
Sure.
Here. And you can use that to infer what your interpretation is.
I think
I'm repeating
give
myself.
the world a lot more credit. I guess I don't disagree. Like, I think that we're actually very much on the same page.
I feel like I'm repeating myself too, so I apologize.
It's just, I feel like that we're both kind of arguing against a weird worst case scenario from opposite directions. Is the idea that an author can shut down somebody else's feelings because, well, that wasn't what I made, so like, no, feel my story correctly. This is how I made it. Like, obviously that's bullshit. On the other hand, having people who read your story say, well, this shit's about Nazis, and you're like, no, it's about rabbits. I wrote a rabbit story, and they're like, no, obviously it's about Nazis. Like, fuck off. Like, it's about, we the people have decided that this was your story is a fuck you to fans, right? It's like, well, that wasn't what I did. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter what you did because we've interpreted it that way. I think both of those extremes suck.
Yeah,
and
they do. I agree with you. There's a middle ground.
If an author tells you that they wrote this story for this particular reason, I think that has to have weight. On the other hand, if you felt something else coming from that story, that's perfectly valid, as long as you're not declaring that your interpretation is now. I guess that's maybe the thing. Is like, the question is, whose interpretation of the story is quote unquote correct? And the answer, I think that it sounds like both of us are saying, is neither side. Neither side.
Both are correct,
or both are correct. Right?
Yeah,
That
I'm saying both.
There isn't a canon correct thing here. If you felt this story differently than the author intended, fine. As long as you don't then try to like make it so that the author has to take your feedback.
And then you get situations where probably my most infuriating situation is Brendan Small's Galacticon 2. It's an album. It's a musical album.
Yeah.
He released it and he basically said, not releasing what the lyrics are. I'm not even going to tell you what it's about.
Yeah.
All I'm going to tell you is that the order that the songs are on the CD are for your listening pleasure. If you want to listen to a really awesome soundtrack that flows in and out of the songs correctly. However, if you want to find out the story behind the song, because his albums always have a story played in them. He goes, here's the actual track listing, and you can and then he went, and then tell me your theories.
Right.
I want you to tell me what you think it's about. And then suddenly you had people going, well, clearly if you listen to it in the order it's on the CD, that's this original story that tells the story of this character doing this. But if you listen to it the actual order that he listed online, that's really the true ending to Death Clock. To Metalocalypse.
Okay.
But he couldn't say it's the real ending, and that's why he's being coy about this. And Brendan Small's like, sure, if that's what you think it means, cool.
Yeah.
And then he did release the album lyrics, and people picked that apart and whatever. And I don't understand how he said this is good for listening and this is good if you want the story, how that turned into, well, this is one version of the story if you want this outer space adventure, story, and then this is the other story, which is if you want the ending to Metalocalypse. I don't understand, and it actually infuriates me that he doesn't come out and say, like, where are you getting that?
Like nah.
No, like nah. It actually is a little infuriating to me.
Yeah.
But having said that, like that's actually kind of how I feel like those people, artists, those type of people, I actually do appreciate that a little bit, because they realize that once your work gets out into the open, it's no longer your work. It's you.
See, I don't entirely agree with that particular statement. Like, I kind of think
it's kind of why people are like, J.K. Rowling, stop.
Well, that's
you finished it.
A whole other thing. Like, I mean, I think when we talked about Mass Effect 3, that's like there was the whole Shepard died. Theory, or in Breaking Bad, how Walt died. It's the end of Breaking Bad. Is there's right before the last episode, he's in this car, he's sick. And there's like police lights coming, and he finds the keys and he turns on the car and he goes, and it's playing a song on the radio, right? And there's this very convoluted fan theory that the entire last episode is just a hallucination and he's just dying in this car, and that he just has this hallucination where he goes back and takes all his revenge. That seems to be a lot
of theories for finales, like that something happened and like, oh, well, he actually died at this moment.
Right.
Everything that happens after is hallucination.
And it's like, that's interesting. I mean, there's plenty of things where fans and people have gone and they've made new interesting interpretations, or they've been like, if you watch Star Wars, the ring order of Star Wars or whatever, you're supposed to watch.
Oh, the machete cut?
No, there's like the different way you're supposed to watch them. You're supposed to go like 3, 2, 1, 6, 5, 4 or something.
It's the machete order.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it's the machete order. It goes, you watch 3, you watch 4, 5, and then go back to 1, 2, 3, and then go to 6, and then
all the rest.
Or you can skip 1 altogether if you want.
So the thing is that, as far as I'm concerned, I feel like if you want to do any of that stuff, you are more than welcome. However, if you ask an artist, what is your thing about, and they say something and you disagree, that person made that thing, and that they should have, like, it's not I don't feel like there's an equal power there between your opinion and J.K. Rowling's opinion.
Yeah, true. I agree with that. And again, I feel like, I don't know that story, so I don't know if the creator went, well, that's stupid. That's not what it's about. It's about this.
Right.
I feel like that creator's in the wrong, because he should be, well, this is what that's an interesting interpretation, and I would love to discuss with you more, or maybe not discuss with you more. Maybe I don't want to talk to you at all, but that's an interesting interpretation. However, if you want to know what my interpretation of was, what the meaning behind it for me was as I was creating it, this is what it was.
Sure.
This is what the meaning behind all of these things were.
Yeah.
Because again, I do feel like once it's out there, while it is your work, you don't get to dictate how other people interpret it.
See, I think that what we keep coming back to is, I agree with that, but I don't think that it's like, once you have presented your work to the world, that you should have no control over it.
Yeah, again, that's what we're saying.
Yeah. So anyway, we got a few more here. Let's whip through these. Vanish Knight writes in and says, hello, Jeff and John. I'm going to go straight to the point. Would you consider fan reviews when watching a movie, a TV series, or playing a game? I hesitate to consider fan reviews because I generally feel like they are misguided or influenced by rose-tinted glasses. Sincerely, Vanish Knight. Reviews are such a weird thing. Like, I feel like now somebody asked us about review bombs. We've had a few things that's come up a few times. In all honesty, at this point, I feel like if you want to look at user reviews, you have to read them.
Yeah,
you have to read them and be like, okay, well, this is garbage. This is legitimate. This is total trash. This is trash. This is trash. This is trash. This, though, I'm concerned about. Yeah,
I mean, I probably don't hold like fan reviews in as high as regard as actual like
critical review,
like legitimate critic reviews. And I say legitimate critic reviews because there are some fans who have gotten to the point that they are considered legitimate critic reviewers.
Sure.
But they're still just fans. But like I can tell you, I recently was looking to buy a new backpack.
Yeah.
But problem with buying a backpack when the school year is ended and summer starting is that no one physically sells backpacks right now.
Okay.
Like the only way you can buy a backpack literally is online.
Yeah.
And it annoys me because I have very specific requirements for wanting a new backpack. And most websites don't show you the insides of the backpack.
Okay.
They just show you, oh, look at this backpack, and it has this pocket, or it has this charging port for your computer, or it has like this special feature. And it's like that's all cool, but I want to see the inside of the backpack. I want to see what pockets it has inside of it, what padding. I want to know what's inside of it. Well, we're not going to show that. So all I can do is go to look for reviews, and in a lot of cases for those, I have to look at Amazon's reviews, and
I was about to bring up Yelp reviews, but Amazon reviews are almost as bad.
But and some of them are good, some of them are bad. Like there are was one backpack that I was looking at that I was thinking about buying. That a lot of the reviews, there were quite a few reviews of people who said that the backpack started falling apart after a few months of use. So I was like, okay, well they showed pictures of it and they're not being hyperbolic about it. There was another backpack, similar thing, except the people were being, this falls out apart, fuck this, blah blah blah. No pictures, no nothing, just like basically what you're saying. Read the reviews,
right? And
then I found a couple of reviewers that I kind of like their reviews of backpacks, or not backpacks, but just products in general. And like I felt like I could trust their opinion.
Okay.
Based on the way they were presenting their review in the videos, and was able to find a backpack that I actually ended up liking. And I haven't bought it yet, or I bought it. I haven't got it yet, but I was like, okay, that's going to be the one I'm going to buy.
JanSport.
No, not a JanSport.
Not a JanSport?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, you got to read them. Like, there's so many places. Basically, what I look for is, like, on Metacritic, the question that I always have is there a weird imbalance between the critical review and the user review? Yeah. And if so, go read one or the other. Again, the reason I was talking on the early thing about Mortal Kombat was that the Metacritic score for Mortal Kombat, the user score, is like a 2 or something, because people go in there and they just put zeros. Like, this game has microtransactions, 0. Like, Jax is a racist, 0. Katana's tits are too small, 0. Like, these are zeros. But, like, so many of those reviews, you'd read them and be like, well, I don't care how big Katana's tits are, and I don't care about the Jax is racist. I don't like
he's not.
He's not. I don't care about the are the microtransactions like a problem, or is it just that you want to give the game a 0 because it has any microtransactions in it? Because some people will do that, right? Some people will go and review bomb a thing because it has a thing that they don't like.
They frame rate's capped at 30 frames per second, 0.
Right. No FOV slider, bad PC port. There's a lot of reasons that people will say stuff, and the problem with that is that that people have gotten. We talked about this last week. People have feel a lot of times like their only way of expressing themselves is by giving a game a fucking 0 or a downvote on Steam.
Yeah,
which.
I will say, when it comes to reviews of actual like movies, typically if I want to see a movie, like if I've seen the trailer and I go, I want to see that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read a review. I'm not going to look at someone's opinion. I'm not going to look at Metacritic. I'm just going to go see the movie.
Yeah.
But, there are times where I'm like, I don't know. That's a little questionable. There's things I like, but I don't know if I'm, I don't know. And even then, with movies, I typically don't. I go see it myself, or I rent it, or I wait till it comes out on video.
Right.
Video games are a little bit different. Sometimes, if it's a game that I know I'm going to want to buy, like Mortal Kombat or whatever, I'll just buy it. But if it's a game that I'm like questionable on, I may wait till it comes out and then look at Game Informer, Kotaku, Polygon, IGN, look at all the reviews, the main reviews,
right? And
then I'll also maybe look at like some user reviews just to kind of get an idea of like to see what people are saying.
Sure.
But again, I read the reviews and I do hold the actual review websites' opinions a little bit higher. Mostly though, lately, if it's a game I'm not sure of, I'll usually just see you and be like, hey, was this game any good? No? All right, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't put a lot of stock in those. I don't know. I'm also kind of with you. Also, I feel like there's a point in your life where, especially with like movies, TV shows, or video games, I play and watch so many of them that I can generally tell from a trailer.
Yeah,
I want to play that. I don't want to watch that. Like, I can tell by looking at a thing. Probably it's going to entertain me or not going to entertain me.
Yeah.
All right, a couple more here and then we'll be done. Danger Dave writes in, Howdy Rage Amigos. In the not too distant future, I may end up living in a very remote rural location for several years. Getting things delivered might be a hassle, and buying things from major retailers will be out of the question. As such, I'll have to create something of a video game survival kit, bare bones infrastructure to get my fix, and have some modicum of access when the irresistible new hotness comes out. I'm looking at you, Neo 2. What would y'all put in your kit if you had to survive in the boonies on games and consoles you could fit in a small backpack? Appreciate the podcast. It's great in the weight room or on an endless international flight. Many thanks, and that's from Danger Dave.
The Switch.
The Switch is a really good answer.
And anything that comes with it.
Mortal Kombat's out on the Switch. Dark Souls is out on the Switch.
It may not be the best interpretations of those games, but
Doom is out on the Switch. Yeah, I mean, if you want to throw in a backpack, I think that the Switch is a really good answer. Maybe slip a PS4 in there, or like the Xbox One S, like one of the smaller versions of the current gen consoles.
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't go with like a gaming laptop or anything like that, because I mean, those just tend to be. Look, I don't know. Last time I looked at gaming laptops, they were both expensive and they broke down a lot because you had to put a lot of heat into a small amount of space, and heat destroys computer parts. Yeah. And no matter what kind of coolant you're dealing with, eventually it degrades. And once the cooling, either your fan gets messed up or your liquid cooling doesn't work as well, and then the heat starts to destroy those parts. A new video card for a $1,200 laptop is $400. I used to work in that industry. I don't know if it's still that way, but I would think that a console would probably last you a lot longer than a laptop.
Yeah.
So having a Switch and having maybe one of the current gen consoles, like a 1S. 1S is probably the smallest of the current gen consoles, right?
It might be, yeah.
Oh, but then it doesn't have. It has a brick, right? It has a separate AC brick. As I think that's all built into the PlayStation form factor. So I don't know. I would look at one of those, but you're 100% right. Switch, it would be my first and best example. Man, you can do a lot on your Switch, like indie games, AAA titles, Mario games. You can't play like Red Dead 2 on it, but like that, maybe you'll be able to.
You play West of Loathing.
You can play, and that's just as good.
Yeah, I mean, it's just as good, right?
Yeah, West of Loathing. Come on.
You also get like Hard West. That's also just as good. Sure.
Is Hard West on the Switch?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. What did I play? Extermination Force was the latest thing. Oh, and Strike Suit Zero comes out today on the Switch.
Oh, nice.
So, that's a fun game that everybody forgot about, except for me. Last but not least, we've got a question that was almost made for John. This comes in from Chris. Chris says, "Hey guys, love the show. Been watching the Red Dead 2 playthrough, and it makes me think of this odd German, I think, movie called Guardians. It has a bear man with a minigun. Anyway, you guys have any favorite / odd movies that you enjoy?" And that's from Chris.
It is Russian, by the way.
It is. I was pretty sure it was Russian, right?
It's a Russian movie. I have not watched it. It has been sitting on my to watch list on my Verve account.
Okay.
For a while, because if I'm not mistaken, it's on Verve. But it looks crazy. It looks fun.
It was on. I think that the I Hate Everything guy, the guy on the internet. I think he did like a countdown of like the top superhero movies in 2017, and this one got like the number 3 slot or something, because he didn't rank them. He just was talking about every one that came out in 2017, and so it's like he did the DC movies, he did the Marvel movies, and then he's like, now I'm going to talk about this Guardians movie for 20 minutes. This movie rules. Like, it's so weird and so silly and kind of low budget, but then it's also just like,
it looks really good.
It's
like quality.
Super dramatic, and but I have not seen it. It doesn't actually, like, it doesn't look super, like, all the special effects and everything don't look bad. But yeah, I think I would probably really like to see this at some point. I kind of forgot about it until he wrote in about it.
And then his question was what
just like what weird movies do you like? What's weird?
Some weird movies.
What are some favorite? Do you guys have? Well, he says, do you guys have any favorite / odd movies that you enjoy? I just like to say I enjoy most of my favorite movies, but
yeah, I enjoy a lot of odd movies. Another kind of from another country that I would definitely check out, and I think it's on Netflix. It's a Bollywood movie.
Okay.
Endgame.
What is it called?
It's like I think it's like ENDIR. I think it's the second. What's the second one you're looking at?
This one, Sarkar, the Tamil version.
Maybe it's not that one then. What's
ENDIR? Is that?
Yeah, I forget the title of it, but it's a Bollywood movie. It's like I think it was actually just called Robot. Like the translation of it was just Robot.
Okay,
but I don't.
Hold on, I bet I can.
But
find
it's a fucking crazy movie. Like everyone's seen seen a clip from it. Like there was a clip that actually went viral.
In Therian?
Maybe. That might be it. I think that's it.
In Therian? I don't think it's actually on Netflix.
Maybe because it was on Netflix for a while. And it was like, it's so fucking crazy. It's basically about a guy who creates a robot that looks just like him.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the movie. And then like the robot becomes like almost like evil.
Okay.
And like there's this whole scene of there's also like Bollywood dance numbers spread throughout the whole thing.
Okay.
But it's one of those things where it's just like there's this whole sequence where he's fighting like the military. The robot is fighting the military, and like he's like stealing their guns, and then like he creates a bunch of other robots of himself, and then like they all like form together. Like it's just crazy stupid.
Okay.
But it's literally it's great. Like this is the start of the scene that Jeff is watching, and I apologize for referring to it, but it's so weird but good at the same time.
Okay, and it's called Entheran.
Entheran, yeah.
ENTHIRAN. Okay.
But yeah, it's a lot. They even made a sequel to it.
Oh, is this just what this 2.0
Yeah,
is?
they made a sequel to it. I haven't seen the sequel, but yeah, it's actually, like I said, it's a lot of fun. It's a weird movie, but it's a lot of fun. Like it actually is kind of like their answer to like Terminator.
Okay. It looks just weird as shit. Looks weird as all fuck.
And then what's some other weird movies?
I was actually thinking in kind of it's not exactly the same type of thing, but there's a Japanese movie that's very slow and very weird that I really like. The problem is that I feel like so many of the movies that I see, there aren't as many niche things anymore, because if a thing is weird, everybody's seen it on the internet. People are like, check out this weird thing. But there was this Japanese movie called I'm a Robot and That's Okay, I think. Yeah. That I really liked. It was kind of like a weird love story about a woman who thinks she's a robot, and she goes to basically an insane asylum, and it's not clear like whether she is a robot or whether she is just like an insane person. I'm a cyborg, but that's okay. That's the name of it. I think it's a really charming little movie. I remember watching it quite a ways back. What's that food one? You know what? Everybody in this world talks about Kung Fu Hustle, and everybody in this world talks about Shaolin Soccer.
They should be talking about God of Cookery.
They should be talking about God of Cookery, because God of Cookery is 10 times the movie that either Kung Fu Hustle or Shaolin Soccer is.
A friend of ours, John Rubio, like literally found out that Amanda and I had not seen it and went, you two are coming over to my house this weekend. Mm-hmm. And we're like, well, we've already got plans. Like, no, you're coming over to my house this weekend, and you're going to watch this movie.
God of Cookery is amazing.
He had it on DVD.
It's amazing.
Because I think he had it like on an import or something. And like this is before, I think it's on
Netflix.
I think it's now like on Netflix or whatever. But like this is a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's every bit as amazing. And you should watch it. You should find a way to watch it. So if
it's not on Netflix anymore. It used to be on Netflix.
Yeah.
But you look for see if you can find where the original subtitles, because they changed some of the subtitles later on in different, because I've seen it so many times that when I watched it on Netflix, I was like, these aren't the subtitles. I know this movie by heart. But yeah, Stephen Chow, that is his greatest movie.
And it was before.
It was before Shaolin Soccer, before Kung Fu Hustle. It was after he had one before that where it was like, he likes the kind of that same Kung Fu style, but it was like he was super lazy. So it's like he would just fall asleep and then fall down and hit somebody with his fist. But Gotta Cookery is amazing. It's so good, and nobody fucking talks about it.
Yeah. No, as soon as you said everyone talks about Kung Fu Hustle, I'm like, Gotta Cookery.
Yeah,
like that's what people should be talking about.
And that's not to say Kung Fu Hustle's bad.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
I love Kung Fu Hustle.
Shaolin Soccer's not bad.
I love Shaolin Soccer.
Gotta Cookery's better than both those movies put together.
Yeah, though they are kind of similar plots.
Yes, they are very similar plots. Also, bringing up Gotta Cookery. See, my friend showed me Gotta Cookery, and then I had to find a way to get back at him, and I came back at him with Wild Zero, and nobody ever talks about Wild Zero. Okay. In fact, people know Wild Zero.
I got two movies that I want to bring up.
Hold on, wait. I just got to say, go watch Wild Zero. It's on YouTube. It's a Japanese zombie punk rock band movie. And also, there's some weird political stuff in there that you got to remember. This movie was made like 15 years ago. So anyway,
so these are kind of older movies. One is from the 90s, and one is from the 80s.
All right,
these are going to be the last two things I bring up on this.
Johnny Mnemonic.
No, the one from the 90s shares a title of the movie with Ryan Gosling, Drive.
Okay,
but this movie is starring Mark Dacascos and Kadeem Harrison.
How could I ever have guessed that John Sinton would be bringing up a Mark Dacascos movie?
What's crazy about this movie is you're going to watch this movie and your immediate thought is going to be like, holy shit, they ripped off this movie for Crank 2. Because the entire plot of the movie is Mark Dacascos' character has had his heart replaced with a mechanical heart.
Okay.
And basically the people everyone's trying to kill him to get it.
Yes.
But he has to get to a very specific place so that he can have the surgery and get the heart removed and then get a regular heart put back in, kind of thing. And it's fucking it was Brittany Murphy's first movie. She just appears randomly in the middle of the movie.
Right on.
And it's fucking great. Like it is I am always upset that it's not more well known than it is. But yeah, it's called Drive.
Okay.
And like I said, if you see on the title, it's not the Ryan Gosling movie. It's Mark Dacascos and Kadeem Harrison. But the other movie is one from the 80s, and it's actually one that's actually very near and dear. And it pisses me off because I don't think it ever got like a legit DVD release. And I think Amazon has it on Blu-ray, but it's like maybe not a legit Blu-ray, maybe. But you can find it on Amazon Prime streaming with riff tracks.
Okay.
But I say if you can actually watch it without the riff tracks, go that route. No Retreat, No Surrender.
Okay.
This movie is mostly promoted for the fact that Jean-Claude Van Damme plays the Russian villain in it. And this was also one of Jean-Claude Van Damme's first movies.
Okay.
But he's not the important thing. The movie is about a guy who moves to California.
Okay.
His father owned a dojo or whatever, and like the Russian mob came in and is trying to muscle out all the, like they're trying to take over all the karate dojos. It's an 80s movie, of course.
Yeah.
So the family ends up...
Karate dojos make a lot of money, John.
In the 80s they did.
In the 80s, yeah.
So the family moves to California and to get away from all that. And while there, this guy... gets picked on by bullies or whatever, and he decides he needs to up his karate game. Like, he needs to get better.
Right.
And he then gets taught more kung fu by the ghost of Bruce Lee. That is also a very small part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a very small part.
Okay.
But then he also has to go fight Jean-Claude Van Damme, the evil Russian karate guy who, like, kills his opponents.
Mm-hmm. What is this called again?
No Retreat, No Surrender.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Well, you know what? With that, we're going to wrap up this podcast. Go watch No Retreat, No Surrender, or just any movie that has Mark Dacascos in it. And John,
Mark Dacascos is not in No Retreat, No Surrender.
have you started your Dacascos yet?
No.
Mark Dacascos? No. Well, you should.
No one steal that, by the way. That's a thing that I'm working on.
I'll take it out if you want. I'll bleep it out. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. MailRageSite.com is the email address. Are we doing promotions for you?
Right now, no.
No. Okay. So MailRageSite.com is the email address. Patreon, you know the things. All the things. Now, I gotta go watch God of Cookery, man. I gotta watch God of Cookery again. I mentioned it, and now I gotta watch it.